Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Last Cloudia live stream. Today, as you know, we've got a new unit, a new Demon Lord unit. It is great. This unit has been expected for a while. If you've been keeping up to date with the Theodemonium events, you'll know exactly who this unit is, and this is Demon Lord Caina. That's going to be the main focus of today, but we also have a new Insight unit, which is Davan. So I'm definitely looking forward to looking at both these two new units today. Mostly Caina, she seems like quite an interesting unit, and I know a lot of people are going to be excited about her, considering her kit looks pretty good, and a lot of people do like this unit, so I do think it's going to be quite fun today. Probably going to be a bit of a longer stream, 2 hours or so, because we've got to cover the Insight unit as well, and yeah, today's going to be great, should be a lot of fun looking at both units. I think there should be some collab coming up at some point in like the next month or so. So you may want to, you know, save some just for that, just in case, because we don't know what's coming up. It's likely there's going to be a collab coming up soon. Also, I did change some of the settings around. I changed it to low latency instead of ultra low, because I think low latency is a bit more reliable. So it might have a bit of a longer delay, but it should be slightly better. But let's start this off by having a look at everything that's in the news, because there is a few things to mention here, a few updates, and also the giveaway that just happened. Hopefully you got something good from this. I never get anything good from this. This is like the one time I actually got something that was not just orb recoveries, so that was great. Rarely get anything from that. There's probably going to be another one for New Year's. That's most likely going to be the next time that's going to happen. It doesn't happen very often. But let's have a look at the news. There's some fun stuff to have a look at here. Want to make sure everyone's aware of everything that is going on in today's update. So, August 20th is the update today. We've got Demon Lord Caina-Resh, which is going to be the new unit. I'll have a look at her very soon. And we've also got the Logzeus Invades UR arc, which also looks pretty good. It's another UR arc, unfortunately, and we just had a UR arc, and we also had a summer limited banner, so yeah, I wish we would get more SSR arcs, but it seems like a pretty good UR arc, honestly. Both of these look pretty good, if I'm honest with you. We've, you know, the previous unit, Lucia, and now we're getting Demon Lord Caina, they're pretty good banners, honestly. Especially for players that may be lacking some things, they're pretty good. But we'll go over those very soon. And then we've also got the insight for Davan. I haven't looked at his insight very much yet. I only had a brief look. And I want to spend the time today to cover everything that he has in his kit, and if he's going to be useful or anything like that. I don't get your hopes up for insight units, especially for older units like this, because usually most of the time they're not anything crazy. With the previous one, I think the last one was Lance Vale. I think he was pretty good. After more testing, it turned out he's quite a tanky unit against Judeka, so a lot of people are using him. Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, Eliza was the one previously, and then Lance Vale was like the most notable one. Eliza... I've seen a few Elizas, not many. I've seen a couple of her, and she can do quite a bit of damage. It's just the issue is she's a mage and she's squishy. And if you're a squishy mage in today's meta, it just doesn't work in PvP anymore, unfortunately, unless you can somehow have some ways to allow you to survive some hits, or you use stacking magic. That's like Meteor Rain is the one way, but I did see someone use Ragnar Flame, I think, and it's killing my entire team, so Lance Vale's definitely worth it. I have to tell you this, even at base SC, Lance Vale's definitely worth using. Maybe not in arena, maybe not, but in guild battles, 100%, he's definitely worth building if you already have him. He's quite good, mostly for Judeka, but his rage, the battle start rage, pretty damn good. But anyways, let's keep going with what's in today's update. Yeah, Lanceville's definitely worth. I personally have built him up a few weeks ago just for guild battles, and he's definitely working. It's pretty good. So the event, another Theodemonium event. Always looking forward to these events. I'm going to be sad when all of these are gone. I wonder what's going to be happening after they've done all of these Theodemonium events, because I'm hoping they do something similar to this after all of these are finished, because these are almost finished, unfortunately, and I'll be sad when that happens, because I really like these Demon Lord units and God units. They're very cool, and they're definitely some of my favourite units in the game. Like, Judek is very cool. You got Shiftlog Zayas, who's amazing. I really like him too. There's a lot of really good units in these events, so I'm hoping they do something more similar to this in the future, because they are very good events. Honestly, they should be doing more things like this. I think there's going to be one more Theodemonian event after this one, and that will be the final one, I think, based on what it says in the roadmap. I believe, let me just double check what it says exactly. It's next month is the Vistas event. That probably just means the final one. In September, there's another Great War of Theodemonian event, and I think after that, is finished, which is sad. But it was still great. I do really like these events. These are like the better events that I do enjoy doing. And Unit Test Play Quest Battleground Simulator has a new boss. I've already started this one, by the way. I can't say much about this boss yet, because I haven't even looked at its mechanics, because I've just been using Arc and spamming special, so I don't even know what it does yet. I just know that up to difficulty 200, they're always going to be super easy. But yeah, I definitely plan, and I'm already working on pushing this boss to 300 if possible, and I'll get a video out on that as soon as possible, hopefully. Yeah, it's not even nil to stun, so unless there's like a rare case like the first Reaper boss that we've got in Battleground Simulator that becomes immune to stun at 250. If it's a case like that, then it could be difficult, but I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll have to see. The only gimmick I've seen so far is that it can nullify magic damage. That's about it, which literally doesn't matter. What would be an issue is if it switches between nullifying magic and physical. That would be an issue if it is a thing, but I don't know because I haven't seen it. I just know it can nullify magic. If a boss in the future does nullify physical, that's gonna be a pain in the arse, I can already tell. Because nullifying physical, when physical's your only way to do damage in the game, really, and specials, of course, but like, you can't do enough DPS with a mage. It would be an issue if that were to happen. Yeah, it would be crazy. Tower Trials is back, Chronicles events, Gacha updates, there's a few of these. Obviously they got new Descent of Heroes banner, same thing for the Arc. One not held preferred UR Arc. Gacha is a decent one if you're searching for something specific, it can be pretty good. But most of the time you can just ignore it, unless you're missing a select few that you know you want, like the Susanoo Arc or something like that. Some of these can be great, but 6,000 paid crystals, you can mostly ignore it unless, you know. This is more for people that are trying to get specific ones. Because you can only get one of them, you can't get an off rate up or something. Yeah, it has 100 dark resistance. You know what that means? The only thing that means is you can't use Christmas Rem. That's it. That's the only thing it means. Which doesn't really matter, honestly, because there is a lot more damage dealers now in the game where that's not really an issue anymore, because she's not super power crept yet, but she's getting there because we now have better options. But if Christmas Rem is your only damage dealer and you haven't had any good luck since then it's gonna feel bad, but there's probably not going to be many players that's going to happen to them, at least. Insight banner for the new unit, well, new insight for Davan for 5,000 free crystals it's never worth doing unless, you know, they're good, so. Yeah, well, Arc is just a lot more fun to use, honestly. He's a lot more smooth and faster animations and stuff like that. The Shift Arc is a lot easier to use though, because it's a slower skill 3. It's a lot easier to manage, at least. Daily free 10 spin gacha. You can select some rate ups on this. Up to 100 free pulls on this banner. Highly recommend to select Telestio as the rate up unit if you haven't gotten him yet. Even if you do have him, getting dupes of him is always great, unless you're missing some other units. Yeah, why is Lena not an option? I have no idea, because she would also be a great option, but if you're missing any of these units, then just pick them. But if you're missing Telestio, 100% pick him as your rate up unit. And with the arcs, pick anyone that you don't have. The best one here is going to be Kagutsuchi, very useful because it has Flame Circle, amazing because it enables Icy Guardian. Definitely try to get that one. Prefect of God is also a pretty decent one, but the other ones don't have anything crazy on it. Holy War is also pretty decent too, so those are probably the top 3 I would recommend, but Kagutsuchi is going to be number 1. And apart from that, Master of Sands and April Nexus and Sky Fortress, those don't really matter too much, but just pick one that you don't have, I suppose. Then Battleground Simulator, refreshed attempts to 20, so hopefully you used all your attempts before this update. I know I did, and there were double drops going on last week, so I've definitely been taking advantage of that. Hopefully everyone else has been doing that too, and there is actually still double drops going on right now until the reset happens today, I believe. So make sure you take advantage of that too. I've already used all my attacks because I wanted to make sure I took advantage of double drops and started to progress on the new boss as well. And then some stuff in the shop, doesn't really matter, nothing crazy on here, you can mostly ignore these. I think Hero Gacha tickets not bad. I think they guarantee a unit, but nothing crazy on those. Godforge Alchemy for Davan's paid weapon, and you can also get his paid weapon from the Crimson Ore shop now, so I definitely want to look at that later on when I have a look at Davan's Insight, so definitely going to do that. And then some fixes, and obviously the new non-basic stats ailment bound, we'll have a look at that because that is to do with the new units, so that'd be great. I mean, they might allow you to do 5 at a time up to 300, but I don't see it happening because they want you to spend crystals to get your tries to push if you want to get there, you know, and they want it to be more of a time investment thing. Over time, you eventually get there. That's probably what they want, and it makes sense for like a gacha game like this. They don't want to allow you to push all the way to the end immediately. They want you to like hand feed you spoonfuls of things at a time, right? So yeah, when you've reached like 250, doing a battle every one difficulty takes a lot of time. It gets kind of repetitive too, but yeah, it's just how it is, and it's going to be like that. But that's everything in the maintenance notice that we have to talk about. Not too many things, but still some good stuff going on. Now let's start having a look at the banners and the new units, of course, because she's going to be fun. She's available for, how long is that? 35, why is that available for so long? Something's telling me something's going to happen soon. Because why is this banner up for 35 days? Because that doesn't happen normally, does it? It's usually 3 weeks. That's longer than 3 weeks. Why is it available for 35 days? I don't know. Does that mean there's like a rerun collab coming up soon in the next week or two? It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, why is it 5 weeks? I don't know. That's a strange one, because I haven't actually seen a banner last this long in my life. I really haven't. But okay. Yeah, Redux collab is what people are expecting. Some kind of rerun happening soon is expected. So yeah, that's probably gonna happen. But I don't know why this is 35 days. It's strange. But we also still got Lucia's banner for another 2 weeks as well, which is great because he is still very good. I still stand by what I said in my stream about him, the fact that if you already have Emperor Lelouch for PvP, he's going to be better. than Lucia, and if you already have Arch being Labyrinth, she's going to be better for PvE content than him, and there's some other alternatives too, but yeah, he's not a necessary unit. He has been placed on the tier list at 9.4 for PvE content, which is, you know, basically what I expected for him, honestly. And Judeka his rerun should be next week. It should definitely be a week from now. It should be Judeka's rerun. So, you've got another week to save up for that, because I know a lot of players that are trying to get into PvP definitely want to try and get Judeka, because he's an amazing PvP unit still. So, that's something to look forward to as well. And any other banners, I don't think there's really anything else crazy going on. All of the summer banners are gone now, by the way. We've got Yuda's banner. Honestly, you can skip this one. It's available for another week. She is the best magic damage dealer, but it's just not something you really need in this game, because everything is targeting physical damage dealers. They're the main focus of the game. And yes, you need some mages for like some certain content, but it's not really necessary for like anything anymore, really. Apart from, and even if you need a mage or something, you can just use Lilahar, which everyone gets for free. So yeah, I tried to get some things from the summer too, but I didn't get anything at all. It was really bad for me. But fortunately, there wasn't anything crazy in those summer banners. Like, Caina was very skippable, and her arc was also very skippable. And yeah, there were some useful things in the redux for the summer banners, but mostly the Marine Catastrophes arc. That was the most notable one, but everything else is not really. Like, there was something I wanted, but I didn't pull too hard for it, because it was mostly a PvP thing that I didn't really need. But oh well. And yeah, that's everything going on right now. All of the ensemble skills are very useful to have. So let's start having a look at the new unit in the arc right now. So, Demon Lord Caina-Resh is a new unit for today. Of course, she's going to be a creature unit because she's a Demon Lord unit. So, stats on this unit: HP, MP, Strength, Defense, Intelligence, and Mind. She has highest intelligence. Does not mean she's a mage. She is a physical damage dealer. Well, she's more than that. She's not just a damage dealer, but she's, you know, she's going to scale off of intelligence the most for her actual damage. Attribute resistances are very good, but she does have -30 to light, which can be an issue, because I think light is pretty common, but I know there's, in PvP, obviously that's not really going to matter because she's going to be squishy anyway, but yeah, whatever, the resistance are fine. Yeah, she looks great. It's a great unit design. A lot of people have been waiting for this unit. Her element resistances, though, yeah, she resists everything, just like Arch being melee. And yes, there's going to be a lot of comparison between her and Arch being melee and other element units, and there's reasons for that. And if you don't know anything about this unit, you'll see that very soon. But basically, she's going to be an element unit, and having resistance to everything is amazing, of course. So now let's have a look at her skills. These skills do look pretty good, honestly. I do like the animations of these skills, and especially the skill 1 and the skill 2, they look very good. They look pretty fast to me. I've tried them out already. Skill 1, very spammable. This one is a medium area long range dark combo attack around the target, and what it says for all of these skills is when it's enhanced with the trait, you get an extra effect, which is a chance to give the target a bound ailment. And we will talk about exactly what bound is. I'm mostly going to ignore this enhanced effect for the moment until we talk about the traits, because that'll make a lot more sense. And there's also like some skills here which we have to talk about to fully understand what these mean first. But let's just have a look at these skills and exactly what they do first of all. All of these skills are going to be long range. The skill 1 is 8 hits, which is pretty nice for a skill 1. This is very spammable. I tried this myself, and it is a very fast skill 1. You can spam this quite quickly, so it's most likely going to be her highest DPS skill 1, but don't expect too much from her actual DPS numbers, because she isn't meant to be a main damage dealer. She's more going to be an ailment unit than anything else. So any extra damage is a bonus, really. I wouldn't think that she would do much damage, but I believe she should be able to be a good SET battery unit, considering she scales off of intelligence and some other stuff in the kit. But let's move on to her skill 2 next. Skill 1's very good, 8 hits and very spammable. Skill 2 is a wide area long range dark combo attack around the target, and this one is 14 hits, and it's not as fast as the skill 1, but it's still pretty good. It has a wider area. The skill 1 looks like more of a single target skill. It's very small area. It's not really going to snipe anyone. But the skill 2 does have a wider area, and it does look like it has a, a decent enough area. So I do like the look of this one. And 14 hits. We'll try out all these animations later on, but they look pretty good so far based on what I've seen. But then it goes downhill, unfortunately. Her skill 3, I don't like her skill 3. You'll see why later on. Wide area long range dark combo attack around the target. It says the same thing as the skill 2, but the thing about this skill is it takes too long to use this. It's just way too long. I tried using it and the combo just ended before I could even use another skill 3. It sucked. It really does. But I wish this skill 3 was faster, because it's way too damn slow, and it's just really unfortunate, because I don't think you're really going to be using her skill 3 for very much, because it's her worst skill to use, which is strange. This one's 18 hits, so also not very high hit counts on this skill either. So it's kind of a bad skill, if I'm honest. I would much rather use her skill 2 or the skill 1. The skill 2 for more hitting multiple enemies, I think. Maybe, I don't know which has the highest DPS right now, but skill 1 or skill 2, either one, I don't know yet. I don't know exact numbers, but DPS isn't the most important thing about this unit anyways. But faster hits, more reliable ailments is what you're really looking for. And the skill 3 is not that, it's just too damn slow. So I don't like that skill 3 because it's just too slow. But you'll see that animations and stuff later on, or if you've already seen it, it's just kind of disappointing. But even though it looks cool, it's just not that practical compared to the other skills. And now her special is a powerful dark combo attack all enemies, has extra damage cap, and when unit has the finale buff, it gives the target bound, and we'll see what that finale buff is. Finale, we'll see that soon. That's in her passive skills, so we'll come back to that when we get to it. But basically, every single skill and her special can inflict bound only if, is enhanced or if you have the buff, so she can't normally inflict bound. And I'll explain what bound does once we, understand more of how all of this works. Yeah, if we get accessories that disable skills would be quite interesting. Like, I know we've had a unit, it was whatever her name was, but she has in a kit where she can deactivate her skills and only use one. It would be cool if we get something like that in the future, like disable your skill 3 but increase your skill 1 damage and damage cap by a lot would be very cool. But let's have a look at our traits next. And this is going to be where we start to see a lot more to do with ailments, and start to understand exactly what she does. So let's have a look. It's trait 1. Dark damage is increased by 50% in damage cap. 100,000. It's very nice. When using a skill, so only when you're skill attacking, which won't apply to your normal attacks or special. Chance to give a cut, silence, curse and or illness resistance debuff to the target. Now this is quite interesting, because we have seen chance a cut, silence and cursed debuff before, but we haven't seen a cut illness resistance debuff until now. Obviously you've got Anula Mouth, but that's a different icon, so it's going to stack with all of these, which is what makes these very good. I want to know the exact chance. I don't know the chance yet, but hopefully once Goldmine gets updated we'll know the exact chance of this. I'm hoping it's a decent chance, because these are quite useful debuffs, and if there's a decent chance for these debuffs, then it's going to be quite nice. I think it's going to be great. because having a reliable way to inflict these debuffs to reduce ailment resistance on top of a Nunavouth is going to be really good. So I think that's going to be great. And at the start of the battle, and every 40 seconds, give all allies a buff that nullifies anti-creature type effects from enemies. And enemy attention drawn -2. Now you may be thinking, well, current meta is heavily targeted to creatures. We've got Judecca, and we've got Benimaru, who not many players have. And we've also got Albedo, who some people use, but it's mostly Judecca, right? Who's the main creature unit. Well, yes, this sounds very good. The start of the battle, and every 40 seconds, all allies get a buff that nullifies creature slayer effects. But Benimaru has a paid accessory already which does the same thing, but it's not a buff, so it's permanent. So Benimaru doesn't need it if you have his paid accessory. But if you don't have it, then yeah, it would help him technically. Now, with Judecca, he already nullifies creature slayer effects when he has his buff active. So without the buff active, this is going to help Judecca, definitely. But is that enough to be useful to use them in the same team for PvP? I'm not entirely sure, but it may be. If you want to try to get Judecca to last longer, then I think this will help, but it's not going to do anything unless Judecca doesn't have his buff active. And when he doesn't have his buff active, he's kind of not that tanky anyways. But if you want to try and make him tanky without the buff active, then this can be a way to help that for sure. So I do think it could be useful sometimes, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's anything broken or anything crazy. It's just kind of a more of a niche thing that you can take advantage of sometimes, but in PvE content it does nothing, and you're only going to be using it in PvP, and she's more of a PvE focused unit, so it's kind of like, it's nice, but it's nothing crazy really. So I wouldn't really worry about that too much, but you might be able to make some fun teams with it at least, and make it work, hopefully. It should be able to work. And that will also apply to herself, of course, and she is a creature type unit, so that's good to know. But she doesn't have, I don't think she has much mitigation in her kit anyways, but yeah, it's something at least. Now, let's have a look at her trait 2. Here's where we got ailment stuff, which is amazing. So, physical attacks have a chance to give 1 basic stats ailment. So any of the basic stats ailments, she has a chance to inflict them on any physical attacks, so skills or normal attacks. It's going to be great. So she can normal attack. It's basically ecology research is the same thing as that basically, but also for your skills. When target has 3 or more stats ailments, transfer skill attacks to give bound. So there you go. When the enemy has 3 or more stats ailments, transfer your skill attacks to give bound. And that is why I don't know why it says it here as well as the trait, but it's probably just a reminder of, remember it does this, pretty much. So these get enhanced to have a chance to give bound when the enemy has 3 or more stats ailments. So that's something to keep in mind, is she won't be able to inflict bound normally unless the enemy has 3 stats ailments already. Now, it says stats ailments, so I'm going to assume if the enemy has a non-basic stats ailment, like freeze or rage, then that should count as one of the 3. That should do, because it doesn't say non-basic, it doesn't say basic stats ailment specifically, so it should be every single stats ailment, right? And at the start of the battle, and every 40 seconds, make the magic Endings Oblivion usable once. And it resets each wave, and what this magic does, we'll look at it soon, but basically it gives you the finale buff. That's what it gives you. It gives you that buff pretty much. So use that magic, it'll give you the finale buff. We'll have a look at that after we talked about this trait. And when that buff is active, it gives you 80% strength, defense, and intelligence, which is quite a lot of stats. You also get 50% special damage, 200,000 special damage cap as well, and there's a chance for special to give the target bound. Now, what's a bit, you know, misleading is the fact that it says there's a chance for the special to give bound. And then you look at the special here and it says it gives the target bound. So which one's correct? Which one's the right one? Is it a chance? Or is it a guaranteed one? I'm gonna assume it's a chance, but if it's guaranteed, then if they have 0 resistance, then it could be guaranteed, which would be nice. But it's like, which one is correct? I don't know. I like looking at these units kits and pointing things out like this, because it's quite entertaining but also annoying at the same time. But yeah, hopefully they change the description of that or something, because there's a chance and then it doesn't say a chance here, it just says it gives it. So if it's guaranteed, if you have the finale buff, yeah, but this is finale buff active too. It's all of these effects if you have the buff active, because it's, you know, like semicolon, continues, another one, and then continues. So I don't know. It's confusing. Yeah, but it's like not it's the same. Finale buff active, colon, lists everything. It's not a new sentence, there's no... So I would assume... Yeah, when I first read it, I thought the buff just gave you stats. But then I was like, oh, it's not like a full stop. And then continues. Or anything. So, I don't know. I would wait until I try it out later and really see, because I should have tried that out before the stream to really see if that what it meant. But to really see if you get these two effects, if the buff is active, you gotta get the buff and then use a special, basically. I don't remember. I don't know. But I thought that it's not a new sentence. I don't know. I suck at English, so who cares? But Ada's also even worse than me, so who knows? But let's have a look now at exactly how you get the finale buff and all the magic, and then we'll start talking about the her unique stats ailment that's new. So, Endings Oblivion, as a reminder, how can you get that? At the start of the battle, you can use Endings Oblivion once, and every 40 seconds you can use it again, right? And it requires 200 MP, and what it does is it gives all enemies a curse and illness. Yeah, it just gives all enemies curse and illness, and there's a chance to get bound. And it also gives the unit a 20-second finale buff and restores all skills SCT stock by 1. So she's definitely going to need MP for longer battles. Chance to give bound. Chance also gives curse and illness guaranteed if they have 0 resistance to it. Gets the finale buff for 20 seconds, and that's the big thing, right? Is she gets the buff for 20 seconds, and you can only cast it every 40 seconds, which means you have 20 seconds of downtime. You're not going to be able to get permanent uptime of that. So that means when enhanced with the traits, there's a lot of words, and I'm trying to understand everything. Yeah, the skills are fine because that doesn't require the buff. You just need the enemy to have 3 or more stats ailments. But if you want the extra stats, special damage, damage cap, and the chance for your special to give bound, then you have to have the finale buff active. So all of these effects right here are only going to happen if you have the finale buff active, which you're only going to be able to have it like for 20 seconds at a time, and there's going to be 20 seconds downtime. So if you want to use your special, then make sure you have this buff active before you use it, right? And it also allows your special to have a chance to get bound as well. So yeah, that's basically, you want to use the buff when you want to use a special, basically. So pretty simple. If you plan to use a special, use this first and then use your special. It's kind of what you want to do, I think. So we'll try it out later on, but that's basically how this unit works first of all. based on what we've seen so far, is you build up your stats ailments on the enemy until they have 3 or more, and then you start using your skills, which have a chance to give bound. And whenever you want to use your special, you use Ending's Oblivion first, which will buff her special, also give her more stats as well, and a chance for special to give bound. So that's kind of how the unit's going to work, really. Which, yeah, there's a lot of words, but it's pretty simple once you understand it all. It's yeah, target, I don't know, yeah, last Cloudia wording is always strange because it's not a main English company that makes it, right? So there's going to be a lot of issues with translations, and that's always been a thing, and that's why we have Goldmine for it, because that's when you can actually understand exactly what everything means. And also when you test out things, we'll try her out later on and see exactly how all of this works, but let's start having a look at her passive skills next. She does have a new anima, and I do really like this anima. So what does this anima do? Cut all enemies' curse and illness resistance. Amazing. For an anima that's going to stack with Anulamouth and her unique debuffs to reduce silence, curse and illness resistance when using skills. So you can reduce illness by -3 now, as well as curse. We could do that before, but she can do it as well if you have Anulamouth, which she doesn't have in her kit, which is weird. You would have thought that she would, because she's an ailment unit, and you kind of need Anulamouth for an ailment unit. But basically, you'll be able to reduce curse and illness by -3 with this unit if you cast Anulamouth, which is quite a lot. And as well as that, boost damage taken cap by plus 20,000 during stats ailments. So that is all damage cap for obviously all allies, because it gives the anima to the enemies. So it's an anima that increases the damage cap of everyone in your team as long as the enemy has a stats ailment. It is very good, and I do really like damage cap boosts. They're always very useful, and the fact that this can be active permanently as long as the enemy has a stats ailment is very useful. Yeah, I would have expected her to have a Anulamouth, but you kind of have to teach it to her or someone in your team at least. So that's something to keep in mind, is you're going to need to give it to her, and that's like a 11 SC you have to use just for that, which kind of sucks. She should have had it already in her kit, honestly. But yeah, a very good anima. I do really like this one because reducing resistance and extra damage cap, very useful. And we've already talked about this one. It gives her the finale buff, and also restores SCT and chance to give bound, curse and illness. I think now is a good time to kind of understand what bound does. So simply put, bound is kind of like stun or freeze, but not as good. And the reason why it's not as good as stun or freeze is because it only prevents the enemy from using skills or magic. So it doesn't prevent the enemy from doing like literally everything, like moving, and it can still move and it can still do normal attacks, right? But it can't use skills or magic. So, and it can still use specials, which is the biggest thing. Is bosses will still be able to use specials if they have bound. They just won't be able to use skills or magic. So it's like a worse version of stun, a worse version of freeze, really. But it's still a very strong ailment. It's just like not a very good, worse than stun. But she does have stun stuff in her kit too, so having both could be quite nice. And it can still be quite reliable against most bosses, and of course in PvP it's going to be very useful too. So yeah. Well, here's the thing, is yes, technically you could use it in PvP, but the issue is you have to cast it and it requires 200 MP, so it's just not going to work in PvP really. It's mainly a PvE thing because you need to have the MP for it, And if you already have Arch being melee, I think based on what I've seen, Arch being melee is still the most reliable ailment unit, because she has an extra 50% ailment duration, and this unit doesn't have any extra ailment duration, I think. So I think melee is still going to have more reliable stun, but it doesn't mean this unit is bad at any point. But I'm still talking about this unit, and I do want to compare her to like melee and stuff afterwards. But if you're just focusing only on ailments, then melee's probably still the most reliable option. But Caina does have some advantages over melee. But let's have a look at her entire kit first of all. Yeah, I know, stun research is too strong though. It's way too strong. Giving us that kind of power, they don't want to do it. Same thing with the bow boost. They don't want to give us bow boosts because it's too strong. Too much power. We've already got too much power with Icy Guardian and all that stuff, so... yeah, she's a machine unit. We'll look at that soon. Starlight Heal, not my favourite. I wish she had Stardust Heal or God Heal, something like that. I prefer those two magic spells. For healing, they're a lot better. Yeah, Cure All. That's all the magic she has. I wish she had a Nula Mouth though. Now let's have a look at passive skills. Magic up max, Organ up max, Esoteric up 3, so she should have a lot of intelligence, which is great, because her physical damage should scale off of intelligence. Illusion, chance to evade physical attacks. Stun research is amazing, always love stun research. Very good. 3% chance, I believe, of normal attacks inflicting stun is amazing. It's what melee, Archbeam melee has. A few other units too, but mostly melee is the main one that has it. And also ecology research is a chance for any random basic stats element or normal attacks. So yeah, ecology research also amazing, very good. It's going to be the same thing as this trait too. Physical attacks, chance to give basic stats element. Even though it's the same thing, it's going to stack with that, which means you have an extra chance of that activating. So that's very nice. The difference being, this is only normal attacks. And yeah, she doesn't have any other research, which is, you know, is fine. These are the two most important ones. It would have been nice if she had, like, Curse and Illness research, and maybe Silence. But because she has those in a kit, like Curse, Illness, Resistance, you know, would have been nice. But not going to complain, because Stun is the best ailment, arguably, in the game. So, yeah, gotta love that. Auto Grand Aura, Auto High Protection, Auto Haste, Moonlight 2, Dark Mega Drive, Dark Terror Drive, Puzzle Glory, Goddess Kiss is amazing. This is going to be very useful because I do think she's going to be quite a strong SCT battery unit. I wish her normal attacks were a bit faster, but we'll have a look at her normal attacks later on when we go over the showcase. They are good enough, they're decent, but I wish they're a bit more spammable, but oh well, it's still pretty good. Yeah, she's like in the middle of a DPS ailment, but she's mainly an ailment unit. She's still going to be quite broken of this ailment unit though, but probably not to the same extent as Archbeam melee. But yeah, Goddess Kiss is amazing. Make sure you have dark weapons if you want to take advantage of that. Terramel 3 and 5 is a lot of Terramel. The fact that you can have Terramel 1, 2, 3 and 5, quite funny. That's going to be a lot of extra damage, and Terramel skills are very strong. They're very good for damage. They're going to give a lot of damage. Terra Jail 2, take less damage from enemies that have stats ailments. Also very good. Very good one there. Maglion Shield. You know, she does have some damage mitigation, honestly. But it's not going to be enough for PvP, I don't think. It's just not going to be enough, because yeah, she has some, but... First of all, the enemy kind of needs to have a stats ailment. And a lot of players can just use Paladin in Arena. So, yeah. And she's going to die instantly to a Amelia, so yeah, that's another issue. Thaumaturgy Ring Plus, that is why she has intelligence boost in the kit, because of this skill right here. She might have some other ones, I don't know, maybe that's the only one. Dual Wield, make sure you dual wield on this unit, because she does have dual wield. And dual wield, there's just no reason not to be using dual wield, because yours has this one, which, if you know what this one is, this is the same skill that we've seen in a UR arc. And this is the first time we've seen it on an actual unit. So it is a teachable skill, but first time we've seen this on an actual unit's kit, which is interesting. Which is nice. This is only skill damage though, but still quite a strong skill. I do like this one, especially with dual wield, because it only works with dual wield. But yeah, definitely make sure you dual wield on this unit. You're going to want to have dual wield. Unclad Brain is 30% more intelligence. Gotta love that. More stats is going to help her to do more damage, of course, because the Thorn Measure Ring Plus, and also allow her normal attacks to restore even more MP because it's doing more damage. And higher intelligence, high scaling for your damage is very useful on units like this. And she also has Machine Mega Boost, so definitely make sure to use a machine. You can use Trishula if you really want to. That's like the main one. You could use Mecha Cannon Velders. But there is a Sniper Rifle Godforge machine, which is a dark machine, which is going to be quite useful because it increases your critical damage. But the most important thing is it increases your physical damage based on the distance by 15%. And it's a dark machine, so that's probably going to be the most accessible dark machine option for Goddess Kiss and an SCT battery unit. I think that would be a good thing to use. Quick Trigger. Dog Eat Dog 2 is more skill damage to non-boss enemies. Paranoia is always amazing and has always been one of my favourite skills. Ever since it came out, it's always been such an amazing broken skill, because when giving a new status ailment on an enemy, restores 5 seconds of SCT. It's super strong. If you remember, this was on Logia many years ago, and he was the best damage dealer in the game, and Paranoia is just insanely strong. It's so good, because it allows you to normal attack, and inflict stats ailments, and then just keep spamming skills, and it's amazing. Especially on a unit like this, who kind of wants to use her skills. Very useful, and is amazing for newer players that may be lacking SCT skills. So I do think she's going to be quite a newer player friendly unit, because you can just give her Trishula and normal attack, get SCT, and it's going to be really good for newer players. Honestly, it's going to be great, because you don't even need to worry about SCT when you've got Paranoia and all of the stats ailment research skills. Very good. Yeah, I'll probably look at weapon options later on if I remember, because she is a damage dealer, so I do want to look at those. Now let's have a look at her unique skills on this unit. So the first one here, when an ally is incapacitated, very greatly restore this unit's health, restore 3% of MP, and restore 1 skill's SCT by 10 seconds. Now this is quite interesting, because this buffs herself, so it gives her health, MP, and SCT. Most important thing is MP and SCT, and I do think you can take advantage of this in PvP if you have a suicide Amelia or something. Well, if let's say for example this unit has 1000 MP at base, as an example, 3% would be 30 MP, because 1% would be 10, and then times by 3 would be 30, so she would restore 30 MP, 3%, so yeah, you need a crap ton. That's just not going to happen ever. There's 6 pound. I'm not going to say the number you said, you're just joking on that number. But anyway, it's still quite good. I don't think it's anything crazy though. It is only 3%, which is not that much, but it can allow you to use like a blizzard magic spell at the start of the battle. If you have, you know, one unit die at the start, then it could be good. And restoring SCT. The thing that's most important is the fact that this is every single time an ally dies. So you could have like an Emperor Lelouch in your team if you have him, and then keep making him die constantly to give SCT to your main damage dealer, which could be Caina in this case, and then she'll keep restoring even more SCT and more MP. It could be fun. Yeah, I have every video for a Battleground Simulator boss right now, apart from the newest one because I'm working on it. High ranks really requires high investment builds and meta units to really compete, and bait defense teams are the most important. That's how you push higher ranks. You use non-meta units, people see those non-meta units and think your team is easy, but joke's on them, you have like a Judecca or Telestia Amelia combo or something, which kills their entire team. That's how you catch newer players out and get a bunch of wins at the start of the season, is what everyone should do if you want to rank at the top. And yeah, of course, you can check the global tier list to help see exactly what the most meta units are. That's the best way to check. But if you have like the unit most players are going to have is Shiflog Zeus. Most players are going to have a Shiflog Zeus. Highly recommend to fully invest into him and just focus on him, because you can just use a team just only on Shiflog Zeus and a Ruto and a support and another support, and it'll work against most teams at least. But yeah, if you're a newer player, it's going to take a lot of time to get there. Let's continue with these skills. Intelligence and mind plus 20%, healing magic casting speed plus 30%, skill and special damage plus 30%. So skill, special damage, more intelligence, mind, more healing magic casting speed. I think her healing casting speed is going to be quite fast, so she could be a healer as well. And this kind of enforces the fact that she could be an SCT battery unit, because Glass Record, Honey Elixir, those count as healing magic spells, so those are going to get extra casting speed, which is very nice. Yeah, she has 80%, which is on the next skill. Dark damage 30%, damage cap 30,000, healing magic casting speed plus 30%, so now she's got 8%, which is all you need. That's like the maximum, 80%, I believe. Like, technically 100% is probably a bit more, but 80% is like the ideal casting speed that you should aim for. For units, active skills, HP recovery plus 30%, HP recovery cap plus 5,000. So she's going to heal more and have more healing cap as well. Yeah, I think it caps at 80, but 80 is what you should aim for. Like, I thought that maybe there was some case where I had slightly more, but I don't think so. Maybe it's just 80, that's fine. I don't remember, but maybe some spells are different. Maybe healing is just 80% is cap, I don't know. But 80 is all you really need to worry about, really. And you don't need to give her any casting speed whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, Ruto, Lelouch, Sarah, Logzeus should work. But you just need to fully invest into Logzeus by having a overpowered crest with every single unclad damage mitigation, plus 30, a bunch of UR arcs. You know, it requires a lot of investment, which is the issue. Is the newer players are really going to struggle against the top teams, and it does make it difficult to like dip your toes into higher ranks arena. It's quite difficult, but once you get there and you start getting the top tier things and UR arcs, then you eventually start building up. Like, it took me quite a long time with this account to start being able to compete at higher ranks in arena. Like, it took me like a couple months or so before I could even reach top 100 on this account, because I needed to build up my account and get a bunch of arcs, as many arcs as possible, and more meta units is what I kind of needed. It takes a lot of time. So the last one here, damage taken from enemies with stats ailments minus 50%. That is a lot of damage mitigation, because it's all damage mitigation, but the enemy has to have a stats ailment. Oh, yeah, if you have a bait team, you can definitely get high ranks, but that's assuming you have like a fully investment unit that can do it at least. Damage cap 40,000 to enemies with stats ailments, skill and special damage cap plus 80,000 to enemies with bound. So she gets even more damage cap if they have bound, which is interesting. So that's quite a nice skill. Damage mitigation and damage cap, only if they have stats ailments. So you definitely don't want to be using this unit if the enemy has nil to everything, because if you can't inflict stats ailments, then she becomes pretty much useless in the team, and you don't want to use her. But most content in the game is vulnerable to ailments, so she is going to be usable in most content, and especially like Tower of Trials, hard, she could be viable there. You can have her plus Archmage Melee is actually a fun team. You could do that. You could have full investment on an ailment team with her and Arch being melee could be quite funny. Probably overkill at that point, but you could do that if you want to. There's a lot of teams you mess around with. She does, yeah, I don't think she has any crazy damage caps. Like, 325,000, I haven't looked at the exact numbers myself, but based on what I've seen in the unit test play quest, it's not that high, so don't expect too much damage from this unit. Now let's have a look at her 6th enhanced skills. This one is always amazing. Great Demon Lord, we've seen this before. Non-basics stats ailment resistance +1. Damage taken from human and spirit type enemies -30%. Nullify strength, defense, intelligence, and mind down debuffs. I don't see myself ever really making a guide on like PvP because it's a competitive game mode. Like I did a guide on trying to get players to start getting into the unit damage ranking events, but that was kind of different. Like, yeah, Discord is a great way to look at builds, and some people can give advice on that. That's probably the best way. I don't really want to publicly make a video on how to compete in arena, because competitive modes are not something that I think is fair to cover, because the competitive modes. So it would be like, what if I did a video on guild battles and showed like my entire guild's teams? Like, that would be shooting myself in the foot. It's basically that. Is like, if I show all my teams and everything I use, I just shoot myself in the foot at that point, and everyone's going to do the same thing as I do. And you know, I know people want to get better at it, but there's an extent to there. Like, you got to learn yourself, like, instead of being you know, pushed and taught everything by everyone else. You can get tips, but you can't expect everyone else to do everything for you, you know. It's kind of what I'm thinking. 20% magic damage mitigation was very nice. Damage taken -15%. More HP and intelligence. More damage and damage cap when you have a machine equipped. When you have a dark weapon, you get more damage and damage cap as well. And more damage and damage cap to enemies have stats helmets as well. Yeah, I know. Well, fine. So, basically, with this entire unit's kit, you can tell she's heavily focused on stats ailments. She is a status ailment unit with a unique stats ailment called Bound, which prevents the enemy from using skills and magic, which is quite interesting. And I do think she's going to be very good. She's going to be a very good stats ailment unit, and she should be able to do some decent damage too. She could be a SCT battery unit as well. Give her Honey Elixir if you have it. It should be pretty good because she has machine, stats ailments, normal attacks, research skills, you know, scaling off of intelligence, boosting her own damage. I think she should be able to be a good SCT battery unit. I wish her normal attacks were a little bit faster, but oh well. We'll look at that later on. But comparing her to other stats ailment units, I do think she places on the higher end of stats ailment units that we have in the game. But she's not going to be as good as Arch being melee just for stats ailments. Because Arch being melee has 50% extra stats ailment duration, so it makes her more reliable stats ailments than this unit. But the downside is Arch being melee doesn't really provide anything else to the team, just ailments. And if you just want best performing ailments, stats ailment, Arch being melee is going to be the best for stats ailments specifically. But what Caina can do is she can also output some damage. She has an anima to increase your damage cap for your entire team and reduce curse and illness resistance even further. And she can also be a healer, so Bound can definitely work on bosses for sure, but it depends on their resistance, and we don't know the enemy's resistance, which is still annoying. It's still annoying to me that we don't know the unless you try it out. Like freeze. For instance, you don't know if the enemy is immune to freeze unless you actually try it out with the unit. It's annoying. But yeah, she's like a, I would call her like a side grade to her Arch being melee. Better than a Summer Labyrinth. Better than Labyrinth. Summer Labyrinth at least. Labyrinth. Better than the Summer Labyrinth version. For sure. Because she has faster skills, more stats ailments. She's better than the Summer Labby. So that's good, but is she better than V? I don't know. I don't know if she's better than V. I mean, I don't think V has status ailment duration. I don't think so. But he has quite fast normal attacks, long range normal attacks. They're probably comparable. If that's the case, like if she has comparable status ailment application to V, then I do think she's probably going to be better than V because she provides more overall than him. So that would probably be down to testing though. And I personally don't use V that much because I just rather use Archbeam melee. I don't know why it reset. Whatever. Yeah. Well, she still is quite good, and yeah, she does provide a lot of things. I will showcase her later on, but basically what I'm seeing right now is a lot of stats ailments, decent fast skills, a new stats ailment called Bound, and she can buff the team with her anima, and she seems pretty good, yeah. And she would technically be a team improvement than Arch being melee, only if you can get her to have permanent uptime of stun or bound or something. If you can get permanent uptime of the stats ailments in Battlegraph Simulator with her, without Arch being melee, then she is going to be pretty good, but that's kind of difficult to do. So I don't know if that's going to work. It should be able to work in theory, but she has, yeah, stun is, she doesn't have much stun on her skills. So if you're not using Elder King Mask, then the AI is most likely going to use skills, which is less stun ailment. So yeah, it's kind of like a, do you want to use Elder King Mask or don't you? Because if you use it, then she's only going to normal attack, and it's going to give her more reliable stats ailments. But if you don't use it, the AI is definitely going to want to use her skills most of the time, which is less stats ailments. So yeah, she's probably going to require more min-maxing if you want to have permanent stun or just use Elder King Mask. But anyways, that's enough about this unit for the moment. She does look quite cool. Now let's have a look at the arc on this banner, which is Logzaeus Invades, which we saw this from the end of the previous event, the Theodemonian event. And I'm interested to see what happens in this event story. So the traits on this one is pretty good. It doesn't have an arc skill, but the trait is actually quite strong, honestly. When equipped with only one weapon or no weapon, so you can even be a no-wield unit, like a Shift Logzaeus, or you can be a single-wield unit. You increase skill damage by 40%, which is quite good. Also, cut physical and magic damage taken based on how low the unit's MP is, a maximum of minus 30%. So, reduces physical and magic damage taken by 30% if you have 0 MP, basically. So that is quite a lot of damage mitigation, as well as damage like that. Those two effects by themselves already pretty strong, because you're getting 40% damage up to 30% damage mitigation as well. It's pretty good. You're probably never really going to be at the maximum 30%. It's probably between like 20 and 30% at most times, unless you're in PvE content. You get like 0 because you start with max MP, but that's mostly a PvP thing, I think. There's a lot more though. When you have at least one Mysterial Power skill set, which are these skills which we've seen before, then it restores one SCT stock for one skill, randomly, and at the start of the battle. And it also increases your skill damage to demonic type enemies by 35%, which is beasts, creature, undead, and spirits. Yeah, with Celestial Mass could be pretty good. But you're never going to use that on a damage dealer though. Yeah, so I'll talk about the Mysterio Power skills once we get to them. But basically, the trait by itself gives you 40% skill damage and up to 30% damage mitigation to physical magic by itself. And you only get the other boosts, the SCT, regen, and the extra skill damage to demonic type enemies if you have a Mysterio Power skill set on the unit that has the arc equipped. So, in total, yes, it's a lot of potential, it's a lot of damage, and a lot of useful effects that you're getting from it, but you have to use a Mysterio Power skill on the unit which requires 8 SC, but honestly that's kind of worth it. Yeah, this would be a very strong trait for like Shift-Log Zeus. It's similar to the Theopolis Mangus arc traits, the more recent Theopolis arcs. It's pretty similar to that one, but different, a bit different than that. But let's have a look at the learnable skills. Next, Creature Slayer. Seed of Regenesis is a new one. This one's quite interesting. 4 SC. When revived, it restores 1 SCT stock for 1 skill randomly, once per wave. I think it's interesting, but I don't see myself using it because you have to get revived to restore 1 SCT stock. So, yes, it's nice to restore SCT, but you have to get revived. You know who I think this is going to be most useful for? Is like Telestio or something like that. Like there's a chance, a 1 in 3 chance it could give you an SC skill 3. So that could maybe be useful for units like that, who are more squishy and more likely to die more often. It could be useful. Maybe. Faith, we've seen this before, but I will explain like how Faith and Mysterio Power skills work briefly. I won't fully go over everything because I probably talked about it before, but I do want to make people understand how these work. Basically, you get, it doesn't do anything by itself, but you get effects based on how many Mysterio Power skills you have set on other God-type allies. Rage Resist +1 for 11 SC is, yeah, of course that's going to be expensive. You're probably not really going to use that ever, unless on your free skill slots, on your max units, maybe. Would you want to use that on your free skill slot too, on like a Judecca for instance, or something? I don't know. Maybe. If you're up against a Lance Veil, then maybe. But 11 is just too expensive. And I think Freeze Resist is also the same SC cost, so no surprise there. But yeah, you're probably not going to really be using that. It's mostly the target Lance Veil, but even then it's just like too expensive. Yeah, it is just expensive. And then Mysterio Power, Halo, and Militants. So 14 or 15, yeah, well, that's even worse. It is quite, I think it's 14. Anyway, they're kind of expensive, they're overpriced for what they do. Because it's a non-basic starter element. I don't know why, it's just kind of dumb. Anyways, so let's talk a little bit about the Mysterio Power skills. So, first of all, you use Faith on the unit that you want to get the boosts on, right? So, the biggest example, the main example that you would use this on is Shift-Log Zeus. You would want to use these on Shift-Log Zeus because they're basically, every single one of these buff him specifically, so that's quite funny, but yeah. When unit has a god type, give the following effects to the skill Faith, which is set on allies. This one increases light damage by 10%, this one increases strength by 10%. Now you may be thinking, well, 10% light damage for 8 SC is kind of terrible. 8 SC for 10% strength is kind of terrible. Well, I know, but you would want to use this when you want to maximize your potential on one damage dealer, on one unit. Wait a minute. So what you would do, as an example, you would put Faith, let's say you give this arc to your Shift-Log Zeus, which means you have to have a Mysterio Power skill set on the unit that has the arc equipped. So that means you would have any random Mysterio Power skill on Shift-Log Zeus, as an example, which will allow him to get the boost from the trait, right? Which is definitely worth it, because it's 8 SC to restore 1 SCT stock for 1 skill at the start of battle, and you also get 35% skill damage to demonic type enemies. Honestly, it's quite worth it in my opinion. And you also want to give Shiflog Zeus the Faith skill, right? You want to give him the Faith skill, which won't do anything by itself. But what you then want to do after that is you give every single Mysterial Power skill that you have on a support unit, which is also a God type unit. And then that will give the effects to Shiflog Zeus. So Shiflog Zeus will have Faith plus 1 Mysterial Power skill. And then the support unit that is also a God type or give them God Mimicry will have every single Mysterial Power skill. Yeah. Well, it's not no benefit though. It allows you to activate the arc trait, which by itself is probably worth it for 8 SC. Think of it like you're spending 8 SC to get SCT and 35% damage. Think of it like that. If you think of it like that, it's pretty good. But yeah, you have to use it to be able to use the trait to its max potential, which we've seen before on Theopolis, UR-Arc, the most recent one. Same thing, but yeah, you would want to use Faith on him too, which is, 12 SC in total. But let me tell you something that's very good. We have like 5 or 7 or however many Mysterial Power skills available in the game right now. And yes, it's worth it, because if you have all of the Mysterial Power skills, you can get a maximum of plus 10% light damage, plus 10% strength, 10% mitigation to physical, 10% mitigation to magic, and I think some physical damage, 10% as well. So all of that together, you would get 10% light damage, 10% physical damage, 10% strength, 10% mitigation to magic and physical all together, if you were to put every single Mysterial Power skill on your support skill and Faith on your main damage dealer. That main damage dealer will get every single one of those boosts. So yeah, Shiflog Zeus doesn't get flinch resistant in his kit apart from when he's using skills. So if he's using skills, then he nullifies flinch. He has super armor basically when he uses skills, but if he's not using a skill, he's likely to get flinched. So Xenobus is recommended for him, but the ideal team in my opinion would be to get your highest max potential Shiflog Zeus. You would use this trait on him with a Mysterial Power skill to take advantage of the trait, and then give him Faith, give every single Mysterial Power skill to your support, and also put on Pirate Ship in your team, and that is how I would use him, honestly. Because that would be like the maximum buff of Shiflog Zeus you can get with all those boosts and stuff, so that would be great. And yeah, you could use Theopolis too if you have that as well. I think both are very strong, and maybe Theopolis is slightly better, but if you only get this one and not the Theopolis one, then this one's still very strong. But yeah, I've talked long enough about this arc and the skills now. Let's have a look at the Archive reward. This one, Cloves, Strength, Defense, Mind, Physical and Magic damage taken minus 10%, Strength is increased by 10%, Skill damage 15%, damage cap plus 3000 to enemies with stats or ailments. So, at the base you get 10% mitigation, 10% strength, and you get more damage and damage cap to enemies with stats or ailments. So it works very well if you're using a stats ailment unit in your team. Obviously you're not going to be using it on Caina because she's a dual wield unit, but you're going to be using it on your main damage dealer or your single word damage dealer if you're using a stats ailment unit in your team. So this is quite a decent, quite some good close, I think is pretty good, but only if you're using a stats ailment team, which honestly you're going to be using that most of the time for like Battlegraph Simulator, so it could be quite nice. But currently, well yeah, the meta damage dealers in PvE are dual wield anyways, so yeah, nothing crazy about that really. So, also gives light resistance, blind resistance. I think this arc's pretty good overall. It's not insane, but if you get this plus the Theopolis arc, not the old one, the newer one, then you'll be able to take advantage of every single Mysterio Power skill for your Shift Log Zeus. And that would be pretty good. It would buff him even further beyond over 9,000 power at that point, because that'd be insane. And I would really like to have something like that, having this plus the Theopolis Mangus arc. It would be very cool, because then you can have every single Mysterio Power buff Log Zeus, super buff Log Zeus. Would be probably wiping everything in the entire game at that point, but yeah. It's something you can do. That's everything about the arc. I think it's pretty good, but nothing crazy about it. Like, yes, you can do some fun stuff with it and buff your Log Zeus even further. It's not just specifically for Log Zeus. You can use it on other units too, because any single world unit can take advantage of this, really. So a lot of units can use it, really, not just Log Zeus. Log Zeus is just the main example, because he's like the only god type light unit, the single wield, that is usable in PvP right now. So yeah, that's why he's the main example. But yeah, that's everything about this banner at the moment. Now let's have a look at Kaina's paid weapons. Well, paid equipments. She has two very strong equipment, honestly. They're both very good. Let's have a look at the weapon first of all. This is a dark machine, of course, because she is a dark unit. Has some pretty good stats with intelligence and strength. Do like that. Regular attacks have a chance to give a random basic stats ailment. Dark physical damage and special damage is increased by 35% and damage cap plus 10,000 to enemies that have stats ailments. Yes, it is a very strong weapon, and it would be amazing to have this, because you got more stats ailment chance on your regular attacks. You also get some more damage and damage cap to enemies that have stats ailments, so it is very solid overall, and it is going to be a best weapon, but it's not going to be necessary, because there are alternatives. You could just use any other dark weapon, and you could also use a cactus hammer for maximum stun if you want to. So there are some other options, but it is going to be our best option, and I do quite like this one. Only if you're going to be normal attacking though, because if you're not normal attacking, then you're just going to be getting damage and damage cap, but they're still strong by itself. But I wish it wasn't just regular attacks. If it was all of her physical attacks had a chance to do that, that would be amazing, and would probably make it better than the accessory in that case, but because it's only regular attacks, it's not as useful than it could be. Now let's have a look at the accessory. HP, strength, intelligence. Again, intelligence increased by 10%. Battle start, give a curse resistance debuff to all enemies, and you also get increased dark physical and special damage by 25%. You also get a lot of resistance here too. Now, the best thing about this accessory is the curse resistance debuff at the start of the battle to all enemies. That's pretty useful, but you also get intelligence and more damage, which is going to help your Goddess Kiss build if you're going to be using that. That can be very good. Your SAT battery builds would be very great for that. More intelligence, maximize your intelligence and damage. And the debuff is probably the most important thing about this accessory. So I do think they're both very good. But if I were to pick one, I think the accessory has more long-term value, honestly. Or the curse resist debuff. That's probably the most useful thing there. You could probably take advantage of that a lot more than you can with the weapon. Like, this is more for PvE content only, really. But this can be usable like everywhere. So this probably has more, is more useful overall than the weapon, I would say. But they're both very good. I just think you would use the accessory more often than the weapon. So yeah, that's probably what I think. This would allow you to get higher chance for your normal attacks to inflict a stats ailment, but I do think the accessory has more, you know, value long term, and value overall for the unit. It's probably better, is what I've heard people say. And yeah, I understand that. I'm just a big fan of trying to maximize your stats ailment chance and damage caps, but I do think the accessory is going to be better. Yeah, once these are in the Crimson Ore shop, you're probably going to want to get both of them, because they're both very good. Kind of like Arch being Melee's weapons. Well, one of her weapons better than the other one, I think. But still, these are both very good. Like, when we get a stats ailment unit like this, they always get very strong paid equipments. like this, and it's crazy. Like, more stats ailment chance is always very strong, so gotta love that. That is everything about this unit at the moment. Now, what should I do next? Was there anything else that I was going to do before I do summons? I don't remember, honestly. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was something I was going to do. Going to be focusing on Davan after I've done the showcase of Caina. Caina Showcase will be after summons, so recommended equipment can be after summons too, I suppose. Yeah, I usually do Davan review and showcase at the same time towards the end of the stream. That's like the final thing I do, because yeah, I usually do it like that, I think. So let's start not throwing my wallet in the to the game. Let's just have a brief look at what's in here. I don't think there's anything crazy. Is there a tier list? Yes, there's a global tier list. There should be there's a link somewhere. I don't have. I wonder where you can access it the most. Actually, I do have it saved on my phone, so I can just post it. You know, I should probably put these things in my descriptions, honestly. That's a good idea. There's a Google document for the tier list that's updated as much as we can. Yeah, but here's the thing, right? With the tier list, we didn't want to focus on guild battles because it was a competitive mode and all the information is kept in your own guild. And making a tier list for guild battles would ruin everything, probably. And what I mean by that is, like, is basically telling everyone what guild battle units are the best ones and what you should use. And it's... players don't want to make one. They really don't. Because it's just basically telling everyone what teams you're using, pretty much. And all of the teams and info that are about guild battles are kept inside their own guilds, so... guild battles was never taken into account for the PvP section. It was always just arena, but if it took into account guild battles, a skeleton will be at the top of the list, probably. That would be stupid. But yeah, so my plan for today, it's probably going to be a similar plan to what I did with Lucia, honestly. I would very much like to get both from this banner, and I would like this unit and the arc, but none of these are necessary. They're not must pulls, and because I've already got like Arch being melee and I've already done like most things in the game, and this unit isn't a meta changing unit, it's not going to be a must have. So even though I want this unit quite badly, it's not something I need, so I don't need to pull too hard for it, is what I'm telling myself. So probably do a few pulls and not go over 100. That's kind of the plan. Highly recommend a reroll. Join the Discords, either the one that I have in this live stream description or the official Last Cloudia Discord is the two best places for it. Ideally, the official Last Cloudia Discord has a section just specifically for rerolls, and I also have a video out for a reroll guide as well, so you can check that out. It's what I recommend the most. So I'm going to start off with the step banner. We'll go do lap 1 and see what happens, and then we'll do some free crystals and see if we can get Caina today. That's the goal, is to try and get Caina. If the arc comes too, then that would be amazing, but I hope I get something today, because my luck over the past month hasn't been very good. Like, ever since the Brave Frontier collab happened, I haven't really been able to get anything good recently. Which, yeah, I know I had some very good luck a few months ago, but more recently, over the past month, hasn't been that great. But I know you can't expect to win everything, but I did do like 100 summers or something on Lucia's banner and still don't get anything. And I've done all the summer banners and still not get anything, and it's kind of feeling terrible for me, so I'm gonna hope I get something, but I don't expect anything. Let's just see how it goes. This unit would be a very nice one to have, but you have an arch being melee already, you don't really need the unit, honestly, but she is very cool. I would like to get this unit, she could be quite useful for PvE teams, but again, she feels like more of a side grade 2 arch being melee, where it's not, you know, a necessary meta thing, but has some advantages over melee. Yeah, well, I think it's because when you get nothing, you know when it's nothing. Because you get like animations like these, and that happens all the time where you just get nothing. They save all the best animations for when you actually get something, and most of the time you get nothing. Step 3 is 6 pulls in here. I've seen someone get a gold ray today. I would like a gold ray. There's a gold, but that's not what I said. I didn't say that wasn't what I meant. I didn't say that. Yeah, come on. No, that's just there's a gold, a red in there, I mean. No extra animation, there's probably a dupe then, but there is a small chance. Yeah, of course a dupe. Yeah, Adele animation's useless. It's kind of like a step up thing though. And then here's the free 10 pull in step 4. Yeah, normal tower and hard tower have like a separate schedule, I think. And there's nothing in this 10 pull. This is the worst 10 pull in my life. I'm gonna watch it anyway because it's a 10 pull, but we know 100% what it's gonna be. Nothing, because a little bit with a blue and a nothing is a nothing. Of course, there's a nothing in there. Well, as the step Gatron, as always, it's terrible. I'm definitely going to be doing some single pulls and some free crystals. We'll do a 10 pull for once, because, like, people are going to want to see that, me do 10 pulls. But I'm not going to be 10 pulling everything. Yeah, we need a Kyle jumping off a cliff. We need to see Kyle jumping off a cliff. Well, yeah, I'm not going to be... Nah, it's terrible. There's just a gold in there. There is a red, but it's a dupe, because there was not enough animations in there, probably. See? Why do the animations suck, dude? No more 10 pulls from me. It's the only one you get from me today, I think. Right, now we take our time and do singles. Gold, I doubt. The watch. Nope. Yeah. It just like, when you don't get an animation and you get a red, you know it doesn't mean anything. Like, that's the issue. We'll see how many summons we do today. Ideally, I'm looking for like a gold ray or a reader, start reader, whatever it's called, purple area, or a gold ray is the #1 things that you want to see. A gold, I mean, is more promising than a blue, but no. I did get a beach from a single pull today from the daily single pull. Yeah, any of those, but Gold Ray and Gobble, well, Gold Ray and the Star Reader are the two that you see immediately, and they immediately tell you that you got something on rate up, but the Gobble and Little High you only see later on. If you actually watch the whole thing, which on a single pull is probably not gonna happen. Come on, we need to get something new today that's not an off banner. I would like to get Caina the most, honestly, but I know there's probably a collab coming up soon, and I do want to save for that as well. And I know I've got a bunch of crystals, but I'm trying to not pull everything like a dumbass, so... this is the point of the stream where I hate summons, because nothing happens, and it becomes very boring seeing this. A Ray and a Kyle and a nothing, and then you just see a blue and you skip and you get nothing, and... I had this happen way too much recently. Why was that? The lag means nothing. The lag means nothing. Oh, this is a whole nother stream over nothing, isn't it? Yeah, it is. In total, maybe I've done like a few hundred and not gotten anything, and I feel like I should have gotten at least one thing recently, but nah. Yeah, that used to mean something. Like when you lag and you're like, oh, it's something new now. Not in this game though. Yeah, if I get a Davan dupe, I'm gonna be pissed. But we will look at Davan later. $100 pull on a friend gacha. I don't know about that one. Like, when has that ever helped me? When has free friend gacha ever helped me in my pulls? I'm at 50 pulls. Doing a friend gacha never helps me get any better luck. There's a rainbow potion. You know what that means? That means I've just wasted my luck on this friend gacha. Are you happy? You happy that I got rainbow potion? Because I wasted my luck on this friend gacha. No, it's a sign that the luck was wasted and the luck's gone. That's what it feels like. Next red, yeah, well, joke's on you, I'm not ever gonna get a red ever in my life. Yeah, she is going to age quite well. Probably not as well as Arch being melee, but still, should last quite a while because ailment units are very rare in this game. You don't get ailment units very often. Yeah, I'm gonna watch me never get a red ever. Never happening. If I do, it's probably gonna be a stupid gold turning up to a red, and it's... yeah, the beach... 99% of the time the beaches are nothing. It really is. 99% of the time it's just a dupe for nothing. I think the only reds I've gotten were from the step gacha or something. I've gotten absolutely zero reds from these single pulls, and it's awful. Terrible. Oh, why is my luck so terrible recently? Yeah, I know, but I'm not doing a multi anymore, because if I get the unit from a single, then I'm stopping immediately. So, but obviously there's a big if, because it's not actually going to happen, is it? No. Oh. Oh, come on, why is there keeps being a little bit? I mean, I'll watch this one because, well, no you're joking. You're wasting my time with these dupes. There needed to be a Lilahar on that one. Why did I watch it? Yeah. Well, that's the only red we're ever gonna see today, isn't it? Probably. Oh, damn it. I just don't want to throw all my crits. 60, yes. 64. I think my maximum will be 100. I'm not going above that. But let's hope I don't go to 100 at least. And we'll do a... Yeah, we'll continue. No. 3 singles is a bad number. You don't say that number, because if you do, you die. 36k, well... That lag meant nothing. See? I'm starting to feel like my pulls have been cursed somehow. Like recently is... I haven't even seen a beach. There's been no beach in these singles. I'm at least hoping I get more luck in the next collab. Yeah, well... Yeah. Beach at least gives me tiny bit of hope, at least, even though I know it's gonna be garbage. It at least is like tiny... Sonic rerun is probably too early for that. Oh, there's a beach. Damn it. Damn it. Yeah, well, it's more likely to be, like a Persona collab we haven't had. 1 to 2 temples a day, yeah, well... I do like a single pull or 2 every day, with the daily paid single pulls, and that's kind of all I've been doing for the past couple of banners, but hasn't been working. It's really not been working, because usually it does. And... Yeah, but a lot of players still want SCT spells, like newer players are lacking SCT spells and they want... Dr. Stone would be great too. There's a lot of reruns I want that this account hasn't had. So I would take any rerun, honestly. Because I have already had the most useful collab reruns, like... Devil May Cry was a very useful one. And ReZero, as well as the one with Honey Elixir is also a very good one. But not everyone was around for that. But that was a very good rerun when that happened. Man, we're really not going to get anything today, are we? It's really doing that to me again. Same thing with Lucia's banner. Is I do like 100 singles on Lucia's banner and I still don't get anything. Like, technically, yeah, I could have just gone all in on a banner and done like 200 on... and pitied one of them instead of... But... No, I don't want to do that, actually. It's not a confirmed collab, but it's likely. It's likely to be a collab soon. Because the last collab we had was the Brave Frontier collab, so it's likely to be some collab soon. Yeah, you're not getting any multis out of me from here on out. It's not gonna happen. There ain't gonna be any multis left. Oh, this is terrible. This is... I shouldn't complain because people complain that I complain. I know. I know. I'm allowed to complain when the gacha sucks. The rear doesn't mean anything. Especially when you get a blue and a Tharia, it means nothing. They confirmed the collab in the stream. I didn't watch the entire stream. I only saw what was in the roadmap. She used to mean something and now she's useless. Basically. Because she is actually useless too. Spirit Maiden Theory is also useless. Yeah, well... I'm not going to be throwing random multis at these banner. That's how you waste your crystals. You gotta be smart. Like me, which is... If I was smarter, I would probably skip the banner entirely and not do this. I mean, it could be a new collab. I just feel like a rerun's more likely. Okay, I'm gonna call it here. The moment we get another red, the next red we get, I'm gonna stop. Well, I know, but I like to stock up my crystals. And next red. Yeah, it's more likely to be a rerun. Oh. Does that count? I was hoping for like some kind of animation or something exciting, but no, it's just a... Here you go. Here's the red you wanted. This is a garbage dupe that you asked for. Here you go. Well, can I ask for a Caina on the 90th pull? Maybe, perhaps, probably not. Last Cloudia 2, yeah. But you can imagine, you can hope on that one, but it's never happening. I'm mainly saving for like the top meta units that you must have. Like, if there's any super next top tier game breaking unit for PvE content, then I'll be tempted to pity the unit. The last unit I pitied is the Arc from the Brave Frontier collab's last unit I got. Well, everyone's here, but you know that doesn't mean anything. Ever. I know, but... There's actually... Tell you what, there's been a couple games, maybe like one game that I know of, that had the first version of the game, and then they made a second version, called it just a number 2 at the end, and they allowed you to transfer your account save from the first game to the second game. And that game I played was a game that nobody's going to remember, but it was Zombie Farm. It was Zombie Farm 1, and then Zombie Farm 2 allowed you to transfer your entire save from the first game, entire account, to the second game, and it was like different mechanics and stuff in the second game. Obviously they wouldn't do something like that for this game because it's not popular enough. It's not worth their investment, but you know, it's technically a possible thing that can happen, but it's not gonna. Okay, the next red then, I'll give you a deal. The next red that I get, whatever it is, the next one. The last one didn't count. It didn't feel right. It was bad. Why? It really does feel like a lot more boring when you don't get any units. And this is the most nothing that I've ever nothinged my whole nothing is the most nothing single pull I've ever seen. Come on, I want a gold array or something. But I don't think it's gonna happen though, is it? No. Sad. It'd be nice. I know I should stop pulling because I'm at 100, but trust me, I want to stop pulling, and I will. No, if I had the UR, I would at least be happy, and I probably would have stopped at that point. But I wanted one of these two at least. I want to try and get one of these two, but I've done at least 200 pulls between Lucia's banner and Caina's banner, and it hasn't been anything. I'm due for something new very soon. I'm really due for a unit or an arc that is on rate up. I really do one. So the next red is bound to be something new. There's no way that it's not. Also, when it gets like this, I start complaining about the pity system in this game, and I still stand by it. The pity system in this game sucks. It really does. I've said that before, but I still stand by it. I still hate it. Because I can't transfer these pity medals over to a new banner. It's really annoying. Even if it were to like convert to a different currency once it's over, and that currency you could trade for previous units or something, it's better than nothing, right? I don't know. People are getting... A lot of players in games are getting tired of 50-50s. In this game, I don't think it would really work that well. Yeah, that's the issue, is Grand Summoners did it terribly. They did it in a stupid way, where they doubled the amount of pity you needed, and that's dumb. So, I'm gonna go to Steam. I'm gonna go to Steam now, because I don't need to spend any more paid crystals. I'm gonna open that up. I'm gonna see how many free crystals I have, probably try and get one red, and then we'll start showcasing the stuff. Yeah, Universal Medals will be the best thing, but they know they would lose out on a lot of money doing that, and they don't want to. Or not really. They would technically gain some money too, because people would be more willing to spend their crystals in a banner and not, you know, save up for pity just to guarantee something. You know. Can we get one red, and then we'll call it forever? We're never doing any more summons in my life, because the banners are terrible. I would really like to try out Caina in like a Battlegraph Simulator boss, the most recent. Actually, she wouldn't really work. She can, because Trishula exists. You could just make her use Trishula, but I don't know. Maybe I should just stop now. Maybe I should. Maybe I should just stop. Maybe I should just not do anymore. Yeah, well, doubling pity would have been 800 medals for UR Arc. Now, I just think the issue with Grand Summoners doubling the pity was they didn't increase the amount of income you got as well. That was the issue. Is the amount of crystal income, the amount of pull income that you got in the game was still the same. This is terrible. Why did I pull on this banner? Because I want the unit in the arc, but I can't get anything. Oh. Yeah, I know that. You know what they should do is they should have both options. Like they should do how would that work though? Like yeah, what they should do is once the banner's gone, convert into a universal currency, which is double the amount that allows you to pity the recent banner unit or something. Yeah, but that wouldn't really work for collabs, wouldn't it? No. Yeah, but whatever. I don't know. I just wish it was better than whatever this is. Because seeing like a blue and a nothing or whatever, knowing that these crystals that I'm spending right now has been a waste of my time is the worst thing ever. I think I'm gonna... I kind of want to stop pulling now. I kind of want to stop pulling. But kind of feeling the urge to not pull anymore, honestly, because it's not going to give me another red orb. It's not. Yeah, well, I know one more red, but what if it takes me another 120, 130 more pulls just to get one red? You could do that. I don't want that to happen, because it's not worth pity. Yes, we should get a collab soon, so it won't. Yeah, well, it will though, because it's my pool, so it's gonna. This is the last Singapore I'm doing. Maybe. Yeah, god damn it. Yeah, I know. Spending. I used to be like that though when I started the game, is rely on RNGesus, not save pity, because no more. This is the final single pull that you're gonna get. I'm not gonna do any more because I don't want to waste more crystals, and I've already spent too much on this banner. And would you look at that? There's nobody there. There's gold. Everyone's. Yeah, I'm not doing anymore. I'm just gonna spend my medal. Actually, wait a minute. Nah. I'm gonna spend my medals on a prism and a crimson ore. Anyway, I can do more summons. I don't wanna. It's not worth it. I really want to get Lucia and Caina in the arcs and stuff, but the game doesn't want me to have it, so I'm gonna save now. I have been, you know, tempted to do this, but I'm not gonna do that either. Yeah, I don't. It's not worth me doing anymore now. Like, I wish I didn't spend like equivalent of a pity to get nothing, but what can you do? I mean, yeah, you could be smarter. I know. Well, yeah, but I had to try, and it's a good banner. It's not worth going full pity on this banner, in my opinion. Some of those medals were from the step catcher as well, but yeah, I also still can't get a Lucia either, which is terrible, because I did actually trade for that prism, so I've already done like 102 on this banner, plus another 123, so it's like 225 pulls, and I got absolute garbage, nothing Crimson ore. Gotta love that. Yeah, this is the reason. This is the stuff like when this happens. This is the reason why I sold my main account, and I didn't. Well, it's not the main reason. It's one of the reasons, and also a reason why I was considering to, you know, not play these types of games anymore, because I don't wanna. It's not fun. But if you don't let it get to you, then it's not gonna be an issue. Here's something I just want to mention real quick, right? How much do you have to spend to get character in this game? Like, obviously it's 250 pulls, like 75,000 crystals, but like if you were to buy that, it'll be like a bunch of money, right? Well, it'll be like 300 or something dumb. Like, buying a unit in this game is ridiculous. You know what I can do in a different game, which I've already done? Reverse 1999, I can go ahead and buy a character to select for just like £26 or something. It's very cheap comparison. Yeah, this is why why does the screen look odd? I need to change that. Why does it do it all the time? Do I have a different setting on? Do I have where's the thing? I can't see the thing. Is it window capture? Screen capture proper, no, yes. This one. Nope. Yep. Right. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of good. I mean, I still play Wuthering Waves, but I don't complain about the gacha on that because I'm smart about it, and also the pity. Well, technically the pity carries over because, you know, you've got the 50-50 system, which is fine, but these games, the pity and the what this game needs is just a better pity system, and it would be great, even better than it already is. Like, I still enjoy this game, but when stuff like this happens where you do hundreds of pulls and don't get anything, the only way that you get something is if you pity it. It just feels terrible sometimes. And the medals you get being useless is what also sucks. Yeah. What I've been doing recently though is doing a couple pulls, and when I mean a couple pulls, I mean 100. And I know 100's not a couple, but is because these Lucia and Caina are both very useful units. Going to 100 pulls is not a bad idea because they are both quite good, and I don't mind doing that. But when you get nothing at the end of it, you just want to hate the gacha system and you don't want to play the game anymore. That's what happens. At least what I can do right now is I can skip and I can gradually build up my crystals that I did have. Oh well. Yeah, I haven't been pulling on literally everything, but these high value units, like Caina and Lucia, high value units, I have to at least do a couple pulls on those. But I did skip Summer Kaine's banner and Karma's nuggets. Demon Lord nuggets, I skipped his nuggets. You don't know what I'm talking about, and don't worry about it, but I skipped him because he was kind of terrible. So I did do a couple skips, but like I do want these, but I'm not gonna complain about it, otherwise people in the comments are gonna be like, you talk too much about your complaint. I know. I'm waffling about complaining, and I know, and people hate it, but you don't have, it's fine. Yeah, I think the issue is too many games focus heavily on the gacha aspect, and they don't spend enough effort into the actual game. They just make, you know, funny story, there's a game that came out recently, which, what was it called? It was called Majo. Don't look it up, whatever you don't. It was called Majo, and the reason why I'm saying it is because it was AI garbage slop. And I mean it. It was AI animations, and I'm like, what the hell? People making AI games now, like what's happening to the games? I earn most of the crystals, yeah, from events and logins and doing everything in events, and I already said that, but also the premium pass, and yeah, I spend a couple, like, I buy a couple crystals because I don't mind supporting the main game I cover on the channel. Of course, I'm gonna get some crystals every now and then, but AI, the moment I see an AI ad or a fake ad for a game, I immediately do not want to play it. It's the opposite of an advert, of what an advert's trying to do. An advert's trying to make you play the game, but I see the advert and it does the opposite. It makes me not want to play it because of how bad the advert is and how fake it is. It's ridiculous. Companies are such stupid when they do adverts like that. Like, I know it gets people to download it because they want to play it and they click it, but just show what the damn game is about, dude. Well, we're not a channel that, you know, discusses drama, but it's still annoying. It's still annoying that so many mobile games are just garbage. In the past, there were a lot of good games, like you had Plants vs. Zombies, still one of my favourite franchises for sure. And you had, obviously, Angry Birds and stuff like that. There were good games. But now is mostly AI garbage. And it is disappointing, but at least Last Cloudia has not devolved to AI. That is one positive thing I can say. There's no AI in this game. Amazing. When you see human-made art, you can tell, and it looks hell of a lot better than AI garbage. Yeah, Plants vs. Zombies Fusion, I definitely played that. It was, it's pretty good. I didn't play through the whole thing, I mostly watched videos of it, and it's very complicated, so I didn't, you know, I played it, like, for a few hours, and then didn't come back to it, because it was, you know, I had enough of it at that point. But I do very occasionally, I do often watch playthroughs of people playing modded Plants vs. Zombies 1 games, because they're very interesting, and I do really like that. Modded Plants vs. Zombies 1 is amazing. But anyway, we've gone off track of what we were supposed to do, which is cover the showcase and Davan. I need to do that very soon. I have tried to cover other games. If you don't know anything about this channel, I'll give you a little backstory. So, originally this channel was focused around Knights and Dragons, which was my main game that I played on my phone when I was a kid. I really enjoyed that, and it also had a community that made the game a lot more enjoyable than what it actually was. The game itself was very simple, but the community and working together and doing all that stuff was very fun, and I eventually did some videos on it and started streaming every single other week. Like every 2 weeks I used to stream the raid boss events every time it happened, and that is how I got into Last Cloudia, because this is kind of a similar thing that I was doing in my previous game, is cover the new thing every 2 weeks. So if you think about it, I'm not doing much different than what I used to do, which was do a live stream every 2 weeks. I always used to do that. Even though before, I remember everything. Before, it'll be very interesting if you don't know anything about this, but I've deleted most of my Knights and Dragons content because I'm not happy with the content. It was not very good, it was just for fun. And I've eventually improved over the years to get better at doing this kind of thing for fun. But what was I saying? Yeah, basically I didn't do this type of thing at the beginning. I didn't talk, it was just the game up and a chat, and I used to just chat with people in the messaging and auto. It was like mostly an idle game, honestly. But yeah, the first time I ever talked in a live stream was in a Borderlands 2 live stream with the Borderlands 2 whatever the most recent Borderlands 2 DLC was, but that was the first time I talked to live stream because I have issues with communicating with people. So it took me many years to even get to that point, and now I'm at this point where I can talk about things that I couldn't even talk about before. So we've gone a long way, but that's mostly like me personally has improved a lot compared to where we were in the past. But the main reason why I was talking about all that is, have I played other games? Yes. I think if you look at the channel, you will see a very small amount of videos that are covering different games. Main example. Obviously, there's still a couple Knights and Dragons videos on there. There is Geometry Dash videos, because I enjoyed doing that quite a lot. There is one Beasts Evolved video, which you're going to have no idea what the game is, but I enjoyed it when it came out, so I did a video. Basically, what the channel was about is, if I found something I enjoyed doing, I just uploaded something on it. And it wouldn't get many views, and I know that. It always got less than 100 views, and it never really worked, so... Fun story. First video I did on Last Cloudia got 113 views. Kind of terrible, right? Not many views, but I kept at it. Next video, 224, 125. The moment I did the Soul Eater boss stage video, 2,800 views. That's kind of when it started to focus more on Last Cloudia. You can see it on the channel if you're really interested, but yeah. It's an interesting story, really. I've done like Binding of Isaac, a fun video on Portal Reloaded, which I planned to do another video on, and I never did because people didn't watch it, so I didn't bother. And Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. I wanted to do these things because I thought it would be funny, and I thought it would be fun. But of course, it doesn't work, because this channel is too heavily focused on this one game that any other game that I do, which I just said do, any other game that I try to do content on does not work, because the only way that I'll be able to do other content is if I make an entirely new channel, which I don't exactly want to do, because I don't want to get fully invested into, you know, other things that I don't know I'm going to stick around forever, or like I could do a Wuthering Waves channel or some other game or something, but I just, you know, I don't really want to do something like that. I shifted towards Last Cloudia because I enjoyed it so much, and the Knights and Dragons game, it was the same. It was getting boring, and it was going downhill, and I ended up quitting because I didn't have the time for it anymore, and I ended up hating the company behind who made Knights and Dragons. There are videos about that too, and you can see literally the last video I made on Knights and Dragons was called Hackers Are Taking Over. And yeah, that's true. There's also another video called State of the Game. That was 4 years ago. Hackers Are Taking Over was almost 4 years ago. But yeah, it's because hackers ruined the game. They deleted my entire guild, and at that point I was like, F this, I'm leaving. I'm gonna move over to Last Cloudia now. That's what happened. Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. I'm gonna this is the last thing I'm gonna mention, and then we're gonna start showcasing everything. In the future, if you're seeing this live stream, you can always just skip over this video if you're not interested in anything I'm saying. So probably everything that I'm saying in this exact moment, most people are not going to know that I'm going to say it. But if you're here in this moment, then you're going to be the only people that are actually going to be hearing what I'm saying. But if that made any sense. I have been a fan of Minecraft, yes, but I don't play it anymore. I played it when I was a kid. I don't play it anymore. I've kind of outgrown it. I know it's a thing for all ages, but I do not, and I never will, turn into a Minecraft channel, because it's not something that I'm interested in doing. And I have played it and I have enjoyed it, but that was only when I was a kid, and I feel like I've outgrown it at this point. Not saying it's a childish game, I still enjoy it to some extent, but like 90% of Minecraft channels are for kids, and I'm not for kids, and I don't want to do that. I've never played Roblox, and I wouldn't play it. It's not my type of thing. The main games that I play are like, right now I'm mainly playing Power World and Binding of Isaac Rebirth, starting a new save file and Binding of Isaac. You know, a lot of these games that I play I don't show on my channel because people won't watch it. You know, and I know that for a fact because I've already tried to make separate videos on different content and it doesn't work unless I make a new channel. So yeah. Well, here's the funny thing, right? I could do modded Minecraft. Yeah, but I don't socialize in the slightest. I have no in real life friends because I don't socialize, and the only thing I do is stay indoors and do games. Okay? And there's a reason for that, is because I have, like, you know, health issues and stuff, so yeah. I'm not confident enough to do something like that either, because, like, talking in groups of people is my worst nightmare. I don't like openly talking with groups of people. Now you may be thinking, well, you're doing it right now because you're live streaming. Not the same thing as actually having real people talk, and, you know, socializing that way is a lot different than what I'm doing right now. I find doing this a lot easier. This is literally the only time the only time I ever talk to other people is in these live streams, and it's like a helps me mentally, honestly, to talk to people about something like this. Great for me, honestly. Yeah, Minecraft's never gonna happen. It's gonna stay as Last Cloudia for basically ever until I either get a real job or the game gets EOS. There's the only way that I'm gonna stop doing Last Cloudia content and move over to something else is if either of those two things happen. No. Anyway, we have some stuff to do. It's like 3:30 where I am. I've still got enough time. I could talk about this as long as you want, but I know not everyone's gonna wanna, you know, listen to my gibberish. Yeah. If there's a thing though, if someone directly asks me on Discord, do you wanna chat and play this game? I'm gonna be like, no, because I'm not confident enough to do that. And I mean that. It may not sound like it right now. Next Risk of Rain DLC, that's gonna happen soon. Here's the thing though. I don't actually have Risk of Rain 2 installed on my current computer. So I would have to reinstall the entire thing again because I don't have it installed right now. Last time I played was on the 3rd of January. The DLC is, I don't think it has a date yet, but it's soon. It's Hollowed Concepts. That should be fun. Hopefully, sounds good, but we'll see on that one. Yeah, but it takes a long time to install mods and stuff like that. So I don't have any like of the mod things installed anymore because it's a different computer. But installing the game will be fine. Yeah. Well. Yeah, well. Let's start having a showcase for both of these units, and I still want to talk about Davan because I haven't looked at him yet. So, before I do that, there is one thing that we kind of need to do, which is having a look at recommended equipment for Caina, which is something I hopefully I don't forget to do. I also hate that these buttons are arranged in a different order. Really annoying, because I keep thinking that this button is the profile button and it's not, because they changed it in a stupid location. Anyway, let's go over some recommended equipment. Who uses the machine? Probably Seadrail. I'll use him as an example. So, for Caina, recommended equipments for Caina, just pretend it's Caina. She is a dark dual wield damage dealer. She's definitely going to need a machine, so obviously you'd want to have a machine. Now the thing is, there's not many dark machines in the game. There's a couple, there's a few, like that one's, you know, something, most players won't have any of these. This one's not bad. Dark physical damage and damage cap weakness is okay. Sniper rifle, this one is Godforge. You can get this one, most players can get this. Increased critical damage and more damage when you're far enough from enemy. This one's kind of perfect for Caina, honestly. As a dark machine, if you're looking for a dark machine, that is. So like, either of these two are pretty good, I think, if you have those. It doesn't have to be a dark machine, you could use anything else. Like, Trishula's a great option, but if you want her to do more damage, then you are going to need a dark weapon. But if you don't care about her damage and you just want her to be an ailment unit, then I suppose the weapons don't matter as much. But ideally you do want to have a machine, because, and if it's a dark weapon, that's going to help with SCT battery build with Goddess Kiss. That's going to be more important for those specific builds. Tech Blade Loop, everyone has this hopefully, because it's in the story event map. Well, in the adventure map, everyone should get it from there. It's pretty good. Up to 30% damage is actually very good for Caina, because she is a long range damage dealer, so that could work for her as well. Even though it's not a dark weapon, it's still pretty solid. You could technically use Mega Cannon Veldis. You can try and make her do some more damage, more DPS if you really want to do that, but it's not my recommended, you know, option for Caina, because it's much better to focus on her ailment potential and be more of a sub DPS support ailment unit is kind of how I would use her, really. So I would personally prefer to use a dark machine, but try to use a machine if you have one. And basically your first weapon will be a machine, your second weapon, there's a lot of different options. But for second weapon, you might need to give her the hammer equip skill. Let me just put that on so I can show you. You might need to give her hammer equip so you can equip a hammer. I think it's a hammer. Yeah, it's a hammer. Main reason being, Cactus Hammer is a thing that is also amazing. Cactus Hammer, chance for regular attacks to give stun. Hopefully everyone has this, because I don't remember where it's from, but I'm pretty sure it's from the adventure map as well. This is amazing for maximizing your stun potential. For like your Archbeam melee, using this is amazing. You can also use it on Caina. Give this to Caina, it's going to be very good for more stun. So I would recommend to use this on Caina for maximizing your stun application. But that's the only hammer I really recommend if you want more status ailments. Well, more stun. That's going to be the best option. If not, then you're probably just going to be focusing on damage, and you could use a sword, or you could just do a dark sword. And yeah, there is a meal heads. You could use that if you have that, but all of the newer players are not going to have that. That collab was a few years ago at this point. But yeah, any like Cactus Hammer with a meal heads is going to be very good. For maximizing your stats ailments, it'll be great. Or just focus on her just raw damage potential. From the Nier collab, the Millheads was an SR arc, I believe. That one's decent enough, I suppose. But yeah, you have options. There are options. It's a claw. Yeah, how do people not know what it is? Is it maybe because they're newer players? If you've been around for a few years, you'll know what it is. It's a dark. I think it's a dark claw, or is it just a non-attribute claw? Whatever. It's a claw that has a chance for your physical attacks to have any random stats ailment. Which is a claw. It is quite good, but yeah, you would be using that with Cactus Hammer most likely. And then accessories, you know, is for a damage dealer. We have a bunch. We have a couple of dark accessories for dark damage. Or you could just focus on stats ailments. You could do Elder King Mask if you want to only normal attack or maximum stun, then Elder King Mask is an option, but then you're losing out on a bunch of her kit, so maybe it's not recommended, but it's an option. You know, if you don't want her to use skills, then you could use that if you really want to. And there is obviously the accessory to increase status ailment duration, which is going to be very useful. Equilibrium Sphere, anything for dark damage, if you want to care about her actual damage potential. Or, my personal favourite, of course, is going to be this one, which was accessible in the most recent summer rerun banners in the Marine Catastrophes Limited arc. It's on that one. This one's going to be amazing for her stats ailments, so I do recommend using this if you have this one. It's because it's going to help a lot with more duration of stats ailments. So it's not going to help her bound stats ailments, but it is still going to help basic stats ailments, so like stun, duration, and everything else is still going to be very useful. So if you have it, definitely use it. And then anything else really for personal damage, but I would probably use this one plus Elder King Mask if I were to maximize my ailments for normal attacks. If not, then I'd remove Elder King Mask and use, I don't know, something else. Doesn't really matter too much, honestly, but probably something for damage, most likely. Yeah, there is a lot of options, so I would go with Cactus Hammer most likely, a Mill Heads if you have it, Paid Machine if you have it. If you don't have any of those, you should at least have Cactus Hammer, which you should be using for stun, and then your other weapon can just be a Dark Machine or something like that, but just make sure you have a machine of some kind if you want her to do some damage. Cactus Hammer plus Mill Heads doesn't have a machine, but that is a very good build for just stats ailments. So that's basically how I would build Caina, honestly, is focus heavily on stats ailments. If you're not focusing on stats ailments, then more personal damage doesn't hurt, or dark weapons if you want her to be an SCT battery unit, because her normal attack should be able to recover a lot of MP that way. So definitely a couple of builds you could do with that. And of course you're going to be dual wielding all of the time, because she is a dual wield only unit. She doesn't have any boost single wield, so there's no point. Now let's have a look at Caina in the unit test play quest, which will be fun. So weirdly enough, they didn't give her the UR arc, which is strange. Whatever. 5,800 intelligence already is pretty good. Obviously she's got paid. That's a sword that I did show earlier. And obviously paid accessory, 3 jeweled amulet is always great. And base skills. So let's try her out in the unit test play quest now. And what I want to do here is show off all of her skills and how she works and everything like that. And how you're going to be using her really. But first of all, I want to show off all the animations and how she performs in here. First of all, her normal attack is quite important because she is a stats ailment unit. Her stats, almost 10,000 intelligence, is pretty nice to see. Her normal attacks are pretty good. Right? Does 3 hits, which is double, because dual wield. It's not the most spammable, but it is still good enough, and you are seeing a decent amount of stun at the moment. And then skill 1 is very spammable. Like, it doesn't look like it, but look at how fast these hits are. They're pretty fast. And yeah, her damage cap isn't that high unless they have the bound element with. Actually, that didn't last at all. That lasted like 2 seconds. That could be an issue. That's like 5 seconds, isn't it? That's like 5 or 6 seconds that ailment lasts. That's not long at all. But yeah. Watch what happens when I try to spam this skill though. It becomes a lot quicker. Very quick. That is what I like the most about this skill 1, is you can just spam it. and it's actually quite good. It's pretty good. You can get so many stats ailments. It isn't really a best overall unit. I mean, depending on the situation, but Spirit Maiden Sarah arguably probably the best still overall. But you can check the tier list and stuff for that. So that's the skill 1. I do like this one the most. It's pretty good. And her skill 2 is also pretty decent. You know, it's decently fast. It's immediately doing hits. It's not as fast as her skill 1, but it's still a pretty good skill 2. And if I try and spam this one, it's not bad either. Pretty fast, honestly. It might be slightly more DPS than a skill 1, honestly. Hard to tell, but I think maybe. But these two skills are both very good. And I also want to try out her skill 3 as well, but that is her worst skill, so I want to explain why her skill 3 isn't that good, but showing off her normal attacks, skill 2 and skill 1 are both very nice. Now her skill 3, unfortunately, is very slow. You'll see why. It's pretty slow. Now, it gets worse when you try and spam it. So I'm going to try and spam this twice in a row and you'll see how slow it is. See, I literally can't spam it quicker than that and it loses the combo. That's how slow it is. I've never seen this. This is even more disappointing than I thought it was. You can't keep up your combo. It's impossible to keep up your combo with the skill 3, which is laughably bad. It's impossible for me to keep up my combo. Oh, that's terrible. Now, if I try and use a skill 3 and then a skill 1, can I keep the combo? No. No, you just can't. No. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. It's so unbelievably so. Like, I haven't had this happen before, where I'm using this button on my mouse that allows me to click faster. And how fast is that? Well, that fast, right? I have a button on my mouse that allows me to do that. And now, I can't physically spam the button any faster than this. And I can't keep up the combo. It's impossible. Impossible. It's because the delay is way too long. Impossible to keep up the combo. It's so bad. That's why you're never going to use this. Because if you use your skill 3, you lose your combo entirely. You can't do anything about that. You can't prevent it. It's just going to happen. Unless you're using another more units in your team to output skills. This is a lot better. And then the moment you press a skill 3, you lose your combo. It's funny, but it's also so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, I don't recommend using it, the skill 3, whatever, because it's just not good. Now, let's have a look at what the special looks like. And then I want to start looking at her magic skills and putting everything together. Yeah, so you're not really gonna get too much damage from that, but at least it has a chance to inflict ailments. About that though, you have to have her unique buff, and I haven't even used it yet. So let's start this over. And this time I'm going to start using her magic spells, her magic skills that she has, and then put all of her kit together, because that was just showing off her, you know, normal skills and stuff. Normal attack once to get an ailment. Might as well use the anima. More damage cap. Then we can use this, which will give her the finale buff for 20 seconds. Also, there's a chance to get bound. And I think I'm going to use the special immediately because then we can see how much it's doing with this active. And it is a time stop effect. Interesting. Then you can use that immediately. And then we'll see how much better this is. Yeah, it's like double the amount. Still not much though, but something. So this is like everything together, really. This is the best she's gonna be doing. And then use a skill 3, and then you lose your combo because it sucks so bad. And I've never seen a skill so bad in my life. You are seeing some stuns on her, you know, skills, which is quite nice to see. But yeah, you're not gonna be getting too much DPS out of it. But the ailments seems pretty good to me. And the fact that her unique magic is time stop is going to be quite useful in Battlegraph Simulator and raid bosses as well, so I do like that. And I do wish I had this unit myself, because it would have been a very cool unit to mess around with, honestly. I just kind of want to test how reliable stun is on her skills. There's one stun already. So I don't... Obviously she won't be able to have permanent uptime of stun, but can she get permanent uptime of the bound ailment if you're spamming her skills? That's what I really want to know. I'm going to say probably not, because that would be quite strong. But I have to know. I have to know, so I'm gonna try and keep an eye on how much. Well, that's not. There they go. So I want to see her chance for like bound, because that's what I'm interested in right now. Haven't seen it yet. There's like every status ailment. No. There's bound. Now, I want to see if I can keep it up permanently. I'm going to say probably not, because they're probably not aiming. We're still up. Still up. Now it's gone. It was gone right now, so it doesn't have it anymore. Yeah, so you're not gonna be able to get 100% uptime of bound if you just spam your skills. You're gonna need like a gobble to, you know, keep extending it infinitely. And that is also assuming the enemy has 3 stats ailments on them continuously all the time. Because if they break out of... If they only have 2 stats ailments, you can't inflict bound. Well, I think she is worth it. She's worth having, yeah, but... She's not a necessary unit. She's more of like a side grade 2 Archwing melee. Who is good. And you might be able to get more out of her. Because of her, you know, damage potential and... this anima for more damage cap to the team. She can provide more than melee, but melee still has more reliable ailments with normal attacks. So she's not a must-have. You don't need her necessarily. So you probably should skip the banner at that point. Because not anyone's going to need her, but if you're a newer player just starting, she's going to be an amazing pull for newer players or people that don't have Arch being melee. She's probably going to be a very useful unit if you don't have Arch being melee. Just for the players that don't have her though. Because if you do have Arch being melee, then she's kind of not necessary, but would be fun and pretty good, you know. And she is a Descent of Fear unit, so she will become accessible in the future. And she also gets a rerun in 3 months, so yeah. like Arch Spin, Melee, they become more accessible later on. So I think that's everything that I wanted to show about this unit and how you're really going to be using her. Ideally, you would use her anima first. Ending's Oblivion is nice, but technically you don't actually need to use it unless you want to use your special. So if you don't plan to use your special, technically you don't need to use your skills. So maybe you don't even need to worry about it, but it is time stop, so maybe you might as well use it anyways. But you do need MP for it. So maybe you want to use it once she charges her special. Or if you're using Great War of Ruin in your team with like an arc team maybe, then use it immediately and then don't worry about it for the rest of the battle possibly. But yeah. Her normal attacks didn't seem crazy here because she didn't have Cactus Hammer. Her skills did seem pretty good. So I think she's going to be a pretty good unit for sure. Definitely. And is quite fun to use on her skill 1 and skill 2. But the fact that her skill 3, the moment you use it, instantly means you lose your combo. Unless you're using another damage dealer that can keep up the combo is hilarious to me. Like, the fact that that's even a thing that can happen is stupid. It's like they didn't even test it. Like, the fact you can't spam it, you can't physically spam fast enough. I'm spamming this quickly and it can't keep up the combo is ridiculous. It's just so dumb. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there for Caina for the moment. I'll come back to my conclusion with her later on towards the end of it. And if she's worth pulling and comparing to other units probably towards the end, but yes, she is a good unit. If you've already got Arch being melee, you don't need her, is basically how it is. But even if you already have Arch being melee, she's going to be useful, but not a necessary pull at all. So that's kind of how it is, how I feel about this unit at the moment. So yeah, I will leave it there for Caina for now. Now I want to shift my focus over to Davan and his insight, because we do need to do that. First of all, before we look at Davan, I want to have a look at his new Godforge paid weapon, which I believe is an axe, which is Earth, right? Yes, it's this one. So originally it was terrible because it was a very old one, but now if you Godforge it to max level, battle start, restore all skills SCT for 20 seconds, Earth physical and special damage 35% damage cap, plus 15,000 to bosses. Okay, so he's probably going to be more of a PvE unit then, is what I'm seeing, which is probably not going to be that useful, but we'll see. Strength, HP, so that's his paid weapon. Honestly, it's only useful for the SCT. Like, the damage cap and damage is good, but for a 8,000 Crimson Ore paid weapon, not really that crazy, if I'm honest. So now let's have a look at Davan's insight. I don't know every single one of his skills that he has, so I want to spend the time to go over everything that he has with insights and just all of the skills and understanding his trait and stuff. His skills should have definitely got some improvement, but I haven't seen them yet until we go into the battle. All of these are Earth attacks, so he is an Earth damage dealer right now. What he was used for in the past was it inflicts all enemies with a strength and defense minus 30% debuff, which is pretty useful. And the most important thing is he was used in Arena in the past for a chance to make enemies faint at the start of the battle. So he can be somewhat used in PvP, and he has been used in there occasionally. It's like he can be used there like for like a bait unit or something. It's usable for that, but trait one's decent. That's just damage and damage cap and stuff. Damage to non-human bosses. So yeah, he's more of a PvE focused unit. So let's have a look at what passive skills he has. He isn't a mage, he's a physical damage dealer. And the first thing I see is Rock Disaster on Grand Cross. And I'm like, why? Because this is physical damage and he's got Grand Cross. But whatever, I'm not going to question it because he's a very old unit. So let's mostly focus on these passive skills because I want to see exactly what he has. Attack up skills, defense up, fighting spirit. You definitely got some new skills here. Fighting spirit max and 4. So more strength and health. Very nice. He's more of like a bruiser, damage dealer, I think. Counter boost, brute buster. Auto gram brave. High protection, auto haste. Doesn't have many earth skills, honestly. Just earth drive, attack raise 2 and stone enhance. Ale of Glory, Blessed Speed, Favoured Sword Form 2, I know that would be new. Two-handed Axe boost 3 as well. Flanks is more damage mitigation. Health, special damage. Indomitable Spirit, Sharp Eyes, Breaker. He does have some break, but I don't think his break was that crazy. I don't ever remember him being a breaker unit, so I don't think it's really going to be that good, honestly. Giant Shield 3 is 30% less damage taken from bosses. He also has Brave Soul, which is also more damage to bosses, less damage from bosses as well. So he's definitely not going to work in PvP as like a damage dealer or a tank or anything, because most of it is basically tied to bosses, so he's more of a PvE unit really. But even then, is it going to be any good? We'll see. Not expecting much from this unit, honestly. So, these are all of the insight skills down here that you got that are new. Special damage 60%, special damage cap 300,000. Single wield, you get 230,000 damage cap. Gradually boost damage cap over time, maximum of 120,000. 100,000 damage cap to enemies in break, which is interesting. Even though he doesn't have much break. We'll see that soon. 20% less damage taken from bosses, so even less damage taken from bosses. Increased skill stock for skill 1. Enemy attention drawn +1. Boost fire resistance by 15. Curse resists. Stun resists. While unit is alive, all allies damage from bosses minus 35%. This one is interesting. So it can give some survivability to your entire team, which is nice. And it says while unit is alive, so it's not a buff. It's continuously as long as this unit is alive, which is pretty nice. And then the final one here, which is probably the most interesting one, it's the most unique one here. Boss wave won't flinch from physical and magic, so he's never going to flinch from physical or magic damage. And when this unit is incapacitated, restore HP to all living allies and revive incapacitated allies. Technically you could use that in PvP just for the HP and revive, but it's once per wave and it's probably not really worth, probably not worth doing that, honestly, but it's something. The main thing about this skill is the flinch resistance on a boss wave, very useful there. So it seems like he's mostly a boss PvE unit, really. Takes a lot less damage from bosses, and he has flinch resistance to bosses as well. And that's the main thing that this unit does, so I'm not expecting to see too much from this unit, if I'm honest. And it's also funny that his skill 2 has an anti-beast type effect, but he has Brute Buster. Kind of funny, but obviously things overlap with Insight sometimes, like the fact that he has Fast Brave and Auto Gram Brave. That's just how Insight is. So we'll see how he does, but I'm not expecting very much from this. I just wanted to make sure I covered this unit, just in case there was anything interesting here, and to make people aware of if he's any good and try him out. But I'm not going to expect much damage from this. 5 mil DPS, that's acceptable, I suppose. Well, yeah, I forgot how spammable this was. Or they definitely improved the animations of these skills, because it didn't used to be like this before, did it? He's just a... You know, it's not terrible. It's not terrible, it's okay. Well, he has a chance to instantly feint enemies at the start of the battle and gives a minus 30% strength and defense debuff at the start of the battle as well. That is what he was used for PvP for a long time, for niche uses. He doesn't provide much other than just damage. And he's not hitting damage cap with the skill 1. I think if you were to spam his skill 1 like this constantly against bosses, it could be pretty damn good, honestly. Yeah, I definitely like that one. I don't know his exact damage cap because it doesn't hit damage cap right here. Maybe that one was. I don't know. No, maybe not. Skill 2. What's the range on this thing, by the way? Very small. Skill 2. Okay. Yeah, it's got a delay, so it's not as fast as the skill 1. Not as spammable as skill 1. Because of the delay on that. We've been waiting for a shift Davan for a very long time. It's never happened. It's pretty good, but it's not as good as this. See, that's damage cap. That's what damage cap is. But the reason why he wasn't hitting damage cap before is because over time he gets more damage cap. Now let's have a look at skill 3. Yeah, that's not going to be as good as skill 1. Nah, you literally, you're just only going to be using skill 1 and skill 2 probably. But here's an issue, right? If an enemy like this, if they're in the air for too long, the hits stop hitting because the enemy's too high in the air, so it stops hitting them, which is funny. So it's mostly good against bosses that don't move. But yeah, skill 2 is pretty good. Skill 3 is not the best. That's probably his worst skill. But you could technically use skill 3 to close a gap and then start spamming the skill 1. Like that. But you can see the hits are starting to miss because they're too high in the air. You're about 400k damage cap-ish. At the start of the battle was less. He's decent. Yeah, 410,000 is okay. I mean, it's not bad. Now, let's try his special out. There's no magic to worry about. Let's just see what this does. It's not going to do much. I don't expect so. Yeah, because it's just 32 hits, so that's really not going to do much at all. I just really like spamming a skill 1. That's my favourite thing to do with this unit. Just do this. It's funny. It is great. Like, yeah, here's the issue with these types of units, right? This is a PvE damage dealer who endgame players won't use, right? And it's not worth newer players investing their materials into either, because there's better options. So who's this unit for? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Really. That's the issue with these types of units that are just slight improved damage dealers, is it's not worth your insight materials, and it's not for endgame players. So who's it for? Probably that one guy that likes Davan, I'm gonna bet. But yeah, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, it's pretty good. And his DPS is going to be usable now. Yeah, and yes, he does have counter, but they didn't do anything with it, which is strange. But wait for the Dora. He's the pirate man, Bluebeard. He's should be a counter unit. If not, then we riot. We have a riot because he's should be a counter unit. But yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to show with Davan. There's nothing crazy about him. Yeah, the old units still have English voice actors. I always set it to English voice settings. Like, every new unit nowadays doesn't have English voice acting, but you know who does have English voice acting? Certain collab units. Devil May Cry units have English voice acting, and the Nier units have English voice acting as well. And I really like those units for having English voice acting, because it's not very common. But these older units, I do actually have Davan. I did get him not long ago. Sonic 2, these older units, like Davan, used to always have English voice acting. And then, I'm curious now, what is the unit, where is the point where they stopped doing English voice acting? I don't exactly know the exact unit where they stopped doing it, but yeah, I know Eliza has voice acting, and you know, I'm starting to think now, does this base Kyle would have English voice acting, and then this probably doesn't have English voice acting. I think that's interesting. Well, yeah, I know Zoglas is just kind of cringe. He's really, I've heard it before, and it's just like a generic, you know, OG Roland's. That would make sense. I think Lily had English voice acting, I think. I'm pretty sure Lily had one. This one did not. Advocate of God didn't, I don't think, but this one did, I think, if I remember. Because I'm the, Lily has always been one of my favourite designs in this entire game. Well, let me have a quick look. Because if you can use him dual wield with all the damage... Actually, no, because he does have insight single wield damage cap, so it's just not going to work. Library. Yeah, that's why... This is why... Human... Yeah. This, if you really look at this unit's design, it's really cool and has been my favourite unit design in this game by a mile, because she has wings that are made of hands and this giant scythe made of bones, and it's really cool, and I wish they would do more designs like this. And you've got these weird things, I don't know what they are, but bones and like hand wings is really cool. It's still one of my favourite designs. Is amazing. And also with like melee is also amazing design, with like, you know, these blades and these kind of wings and the blades here, and background's really cool, you know, and like the bone stuff, and the whole this kind of aesthetic is what I'm a big fan of. You can see the spine thing there. It is really cool. I like these kind of more darker, evil type units that look like that. They're really cool. We'll need some kind of succubus or something in this game. But yeah, I was just curious of English voice acting there for a moment. But yeah, well, I don't think I have her on this account, do I? Or do I? No, I don't. Yeah, I don't have her. But also, I do really like Archbeam Melee's design is very cool. For no particular reason. It's probably because, like, the less cloves the better, but let's not get demonetized. I don't want to spend too long looking at unit designs. It's going to ruin the video. Anyway. Okay. So I think that's everything I pretty much wanted to talk about today, right? We covered Davan and Caina. It's very cool. I do want to obviously go over conclusion about everything. That's what I do at the end. Yeah, well, this game isn't even considered a Guna game, right? And there's too many, like, risky designs that if I were to show all of the risky designs on the screen at the same time for a long period of time, it would demonetize the entire thing. So, yeah, I think I did mention the free pools thing earlier. Wherever that is, you should be selecting Telestio and Kagusuchi if you don't have either of those. And then the second option will be Prefect of God, third Holy War. After that, these three don't matter too much really, they're all kind of meh. I mean, yeah, those three are all kind of whatever, but these three are pretty good. Yeah, so the only unit that matters is Telestio, everyone else doesn't matter. So I'm going to leave it there for today. We're just about to end. But before we end, I do want to finish everything off with, like, conclusion of both these units and everything in this update. So let's start this off with talking about this new banner. This banner lasts for 35 days for some reason. I don't know why it lasts 35 days. But this banner is a pretty good banner, honestly. I do think it's quite a higher value banner. Now, not everyone is gonna have much, use from this banner, because if you already have Arch being melee, then technically this unit isn't necessary because you already have the best element unit, and Caina isn't going to replace Arch being melee because melee still has more reliable and more consistent stun application, which is the most important thing. And yes, Caina can provide more to the team, and she has her unique bound elements, but I don't think her status element application is as good as Arch being melee. So if you're just focusing on status elements, then I think melee is going to be a better option. But if you're against a boss that has, less resistance to elements or something, you might be able to get Caina to have permanent uptime. Or you might want to use Caina with Arch being melee in a team, and maybe you can get it work or something. But what she can provide that Arch being melee doesn't, and what other elements can't do, is she can provide an anima that can reduce resistances even further. I believe it was silence and illness, or curse and illness or something. But that can help a lot, and it can also buff your entire team's damage cap by 20,000, as long as the enemies have status elements. So I do think that's quite useful, and allows her to provide more to the team than Arch being melee. So if you can get her to work as the main element unit, then she will provide more than Arch being melee. That's just a big if though. Do you want ease of use, which is Arch being melee because she's just very easy to use, or do you want higher damage ceiling, which is what Caina will provide? Kind of up to you really. But if you're lacking any form of element unit, then try to get Arch being melee because she's still the best one. But if you can't get her, if she's not accessible, then Caina is going to be the next best alternative, I think, and she can be better in some situations. So I do think it is quite a good banner, and it's not a bad idea to do a few summons on this banner, even if you have Arch being melee, because I do think she is quite a useful unit to have overall. But don't waste too many crystals, because there should be a collab coming up at some point. I feel like there should be a rerun of something coming up soon, so that's something to keep an eye on, and remember that you should try to save some for upcoming collabs, because that's more of a priority. Yeah, because Caina can provide, more. She is probably going to be used more if you could take advantage of it. Beating a Thunderbird already Jallo already is quite funny with that. But yeah, that proves that she can be a very good unit. And I still really want this unit. Is she worth the pity though? I don't know. If you're someone that really likes Caina, then maybe she's worth the pity. Up to you. But for a normal player, probably not. Same thing with Lucia. But I would argue Lucia probably has more overall value than Caina. If you're missing the other support units, then Lucia has a lot more value and is probably worth pitying, honestly. If you don't have Emperor Lelouch or Arch being Labyrinth, then Lucia is going to be the best pull right now. Tillif is still the best in PvE content. Lucia is more offensive, doesn't provide any mitigation or anything, but yeah, it's just a melee with extra steps, pretty much, is what it is. And also, the arcs on these banners are both pretty solid. I think Logzaeus Invades is quite interesting for Shift Logzaeus, and you can do some fun stuff with that. And I don't remember what this arc has on it, but it's not bad. Yeah, Cloak of Majesty 3. So these are both arcs that are more PvP focused, really. But both of these units can be viable in like multiple content. So both very strong banners going on right now, and I wish I could get something from it, but okay. I wish, but I'm not going to complain about it. Other banners, there's not really many other banners going on right now. You can skip Huda's banner. She's not worth pulling on. She's really not. And the summer banners are finished. Don't pull super hard on anything yet, because there's likely to be a collab coming up soon. The Mysterial skills are worth using, yes. It's mostly for PvP though. You give Faith to your one main unit, and then you put all of the Mysterial power skills on your support unit as long as they're a god type, or you just give them Mimicry god type. It is very strong, because technically the damage dealer or the unit that you're using Faith on is getting all of the effects for just 4 SC, while your support is using more SC to buff your main unit. So these skills are very strong. If you have multiple of them, or if you get this arc, it's going to be very useful. So if you get this arc or the Theopolis arc, it is recommended to take advantage of these Faith skills and Mysterial power skills. They're very good, but you do need to build specifically for it. And in normal PvE content, just don't worry about it. You're only really going to be using these more in PvP content. Guild battles and arena is going to be used more there. So that's the main use for them, really. Technically, you can use it in PvE as well. For like light damage, strength is very nice. For 4 SC is pretty good. And you can also get physical damage as well. So yeah, they are very good skills. Very SC efficient for your main damage dealer. But you need to have a lot of SC on your support that is going to be using them. So that's pretty much everything about the current banners. Lucia is available for another 2 weeks. And I believe there should be a rerun of Judecca's banner coming next week. A week from now should be Judecca's banner. So if you were considering to pull him, then you might want to save for that. It's up to you. He's mostly for the players that focus on PvP. He's going to be great for PvP. So that is something that some players are going to be saving for. And I heard a couple players do that. So these 2 banners are still going to be available by the time Judecca rerun happens. So you do have some time. Yeah, I used Judecca against the Kraken boss. It wasn't the most viable team. I just barely managed to beat it. It's not really recommended to use Judecca, but I got it to work. Because the time that I got on this was kind of slow. So it wasn't the best, but it worked. So he can work. That's only if you're using a Linus and Arch being Lebref to maximizing maximize his damage, otherwise it might not be doable because I'm using so much to boost his own damage cap. So, yeah. Also, the newest boss, by the way, the Greeper Abyssal Spirit. I've already started on this one. Nothing really to say about it yet because I don't even know its gimmicks, but I'll be doing a video on that once I get it to 300 because so far it looks pretty easy. Arc's going to be your best unit against this boss, I can already tell you that, because the fact that it has 50 light weakness just makes it Arc's dinner, really. He's just food for Arc, really, because he's gonna do it a lot easier. Yeah, I just put in a random team, this random team, and use specials, and it works. So anyone that is above 200 right now has used gems, has used crystals on getting these tries, because you can only get to 200 right now. Yeah, if it stays at stun resistance, it's going to be quite easy. But we'll see. So far it seems incredibly easy, but maybe it'll change. Maybe. There's still double crest drops on right now for some reason, but make sure to do that. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about today's stream. Pretty good units, honestly. They are quite interesting. Caina, actually pretty good. When I heard about Caina, you know, when I saw Caina in the event stories, I wasn't entirely sure what she was going to be. A lot of players were thinking she would be some kind of overpowered support unit, but turns out she's an ailment unit instead, which is honestly just as good, because ailments in this game are incredibly broken in PvE content. So yeah, it's gonna be quite nice, and I'm still gonna try to get this unit if possible with these daily single pulls, and the same thing on Lucia's banner. But if I don't get anything after another like 50 pulls or something, like 2 weeks worth of single pulls on Lucia's banner and another like 5 weeks worth of single pulls on Caina's banner, it's gonna be disappointing, but we'll see. I'm gonna just keep saving my crystals now, I suppose, and see what happens. But yeah, today's stream was a bit longer, but we managed to cover everything just fine. And Davan, oh yeah, about Davan, if you were curious about him, he is he's pretty decent for a PvE damage dealer, honestly. But I don't think he's worth the investment unless you really like him, and he is going to need some kind of honey elixir to keep his skill 1 spammable, to have enough SCT to spam his skill 1, so it's going to be kind of difficult to keep his SCT up through the entire battle. But he's not bad. So, yeah. I think in 2 weeks from now it should be a collab or something, we'll have to see. We don't really know yet, but I would expect a collab to be in 2 weeks. Probably. That's the most likely thing to happen, so I do want to have a bunch of crystals saved for that. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here for these live streams, or watching this if you're in the future. Thanks for being here, and be sure to check out my other videos of Battleground Simulator if you're interested in pushing Battleground Simulator, because I do spend a lot of time doing those. And yeah, feel free to join the Discord, which I always put the link in my description, and I will add the timestamps in the next 10-15 minutes or so, and I'll be back in 2 weeks for whatever's coming next. And I'll see you in the next